members of the committee that are not in attendance, as everyone is expected to be in attendance. They need to have an extraordinary circumstance, as Raul and I both do, which is we're both sick. And we don't want to get all of you sick. So we can participate in this meeting, but we need to leave our cameras on. So you will see our cameras will be on. For members of the community, they are able to participate in the discussion. We do happen to have a lot of people attending this evening, so we will ask that folks that are virtual, if they would like to speak after the committee has had their discussion on the applications, to raise their virtual hand. We also do happen to have a good number of people in the room, and Rodney is going to assist in managing the folks in the room for that public conversation. So just for folks that aren't aware, this task force, the purpose of the task force is to be part of the process for vetting legitimate cannabis businesses that have applied for licenses. We are not in this discussion talking about the illegal or illicit cannabis shops. So our process as a community board is to be talking to applicants and talking about the specific locations where they are within our community, and for us to determine whether or not we feel this is appropriate for our community, and to make a recommendation or not make a recommendation. So I just wanted to make that distinction. So as we are still waiting for the first person on the list, we're going to go to number 2 on our agenda item, which is 206 8th Avenue, Bright Elephant LLC. And Jesse, I know you've brought them all over. So Imran and team, what we will ask you to do is to introduce yourselves, explain about your proposed business operation, the connection to the community. You've already submitted a good amount of information through the Dropbox, but for the public's purpose, if you can run through how you would operate and also what benefits you're bringing to the community. So I'll turn it over to you, Imran.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Imran. I live in Queens, New York. I work with a company called Flintstone Cannabis Company. We were the first ones to open up in Central New York, in Syracuse, New York. We have a facility that's...
Imran, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you turn your camera on? Can we see you?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Hold on.
And Tariq, I'm going to say the same for you if you're going to be speaking. Thank you.
Hey guys, sorry, I'm in the car. I don't look the best.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I work with Flintstone. We have a dispensary out in Syracuse, New York. It's a 13,000 square foot dispensary. We were one of the first ones. Mike Flynn is actually the owner of Flintstone. He runs a really nice operation. He does really well for himself up there. He has a good reputation in the community, and we own a license. We were awarded a license under Bright Elephant LLC, and then we met with Mike and we had talks together about opening up a Flintstone in New York City. So we applied for the license in Chelsea. One, we like the area. I'm very familiar with it. I used to be on 42nd and 11th in Hell's Kitchen. Very familiar with New York City. I've had different businesses. I have a juice bar in the Lower East Side at 193 Orchard Street. It's called No Pulp. Tariq also has a couple businesses. He has one not too far away from this proposed location, but he has a cafe called Mo Cafe on 48th and 8th Avenue. So we wanted to bring a legal cannabis business to the industry, into the neighborhood, just because we know about the black market ones and how dangerous they are. We talked about it with people in the neighborhood, just like we went to like the cafe on the corner, we went to Joe's Pizza, we went to a few other spots. We were looking at this location for a few months. We did the research on it. We spoke to the landlord. His name is Barry. So Barry is really for this. He's pro cannabis. I was with him yesterday, just had a conversation with him. What we're trying to do there is not going to be like an ordinary dispensary that's opening up. Given the history we have with our business, we want to make this like a really well put together, luxurious one. So it's not going to be just like throwing a couple display cases over there. What we're doing there, like redoing the entire building interior wise. We have some architects over there that are going to be drawing up plans next week. And then we want to just put something that's going to be safe for the neighborhood. We want to work with the community, get to know you guys, and see what we can do to help the community. If there's any organizations, if there's any like events you guys do, how we can contribute to it. We're good friends with other people in the industry, like Strange Stars that open up in Long Island. They just gave a scholarship to one of the universities in the neighborhood. So we're hoping to be as successful as them, where we can offer things like that in the community as well, whether it's turkey drives or toy drives for kids or whatever the neighborhood wants.
Great, thank you. Can you give a little bit of description of the method of operation, the hours you're proposing, the type of security you'll have, et cetera? Just again, for the public to understand what you're planning to do.
Yeah, so we hired a company called Meyer Security who will be the ones installing all the security cameras inside. So they basically come in, they put like burglar alarms, they put motion sensors, they put cameras outside, they put cameras inside. There's cameras throughout all the POS systems and everything. So everything is super regulated and compliant with the OCM. We also take the extra measure of hiring someone right in front. So it's not going to be like a security guard outside, but in order for somebody to come inside, you have to be 21. You have to have a valid ID to get scanned, and then they'll be able to go inside. We have a buzzer on the door just in case something happens. I know it gets a little busy out there, so there's going to be a buzzer. Um, we have Brevo access control to make sure like no one's coming in from the back door, no one has access to anything from the outside, the inside. I know there's a delivery gate over there that we're going to be locking up from the inside and outside, just to make sure there's no issues or no robbery attempts or anything. In terms of hours of operations, we were thinking of doing like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. But if depending on the area, if it seems to slow down before, it would be like a 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. type of thing. We are gonna have a GM over there who gets paid fairly well. So like everyone that's gonna be there, we want them not to just treat it as a job, but more as a career and hope that they want to grow within the company.
And at this time, are you planning any delivery services?
We're not planning any delivery services yet. We don't know what the process is going to be over there, but it's more supposed to be like a neighborhood thing. It's right in front of a bus stop. So we want to just be attentive to the neighborhood.
Speaking of neighborhood, you've spoken already of having touch base with some of the businesses that are immediately adjacent. Have you had an opportunity to speak to any community groups, block associations, et cetera?
I've reached out to the block associations. I asked about it a couple weeks ago, but I think there was a missed email. So I only had like a opportunity to send out a last minute email. I think I sent it yesterday. I heard back from maybe one or two people. They were just like, oh, looking forward to meeting with you. But the block association email list probably had about like 50 people that I emailed to. It was like a
And
mass email.
and at this time, you haven't had any active conversations?
No, I sent it yesterday.
Okay.
I didn't know what to say when I was emailing them. So I found out yesterday I was supposed to reach out to them. So I was able to just email it yesterday. I told them I'm here for any questions, happy to meet, happy to attend in person as well.
Okay. Rodney, I'm going to turn it over to you to manage anyone on the task force committee that wants to speak, since I can't see everybody.
Okay, thanks, Dolores. Quick question. So your application actually states that you were planning a delivery, so we'll need you to correct that.
So eventually, like at the time, we're not, just because I don't know what delivery services are in New York City, but I do know other dispensaries in the neighborhood and in the city are doing delivery, but I'm just not sure what system they use or who their delivery third-party processor are. But down the line, we would like to offer it, but we're hoping that we get enough customers that walk in, so we wouldn't need it.
And again, on clarification on your hours, you actually stated 10 to 9 on weekdays, 10 to 10 on the weekends. So it sounds like you're leaning towards 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Is that correct?
So that's why I said either 10 to 9 or 10 to 10. I'm just not sure how the
Right,
neighborhood
so,
works.
sure. So with respect to the application, we'll need you to be exact before it will help us make a decision. Second, your application talks about the backyard for employees. What will that be used for?
Well, there's gonna be the only access over there would be for employees, just because like no customers would be allowed there because the back of house would be closed off. So like if there's anyone that goes there, even if it's to just like catch a break, or during the summer just to get some fresh air, it would only be accessible to the employees and no one else.
Will employees be allowed to smoke?
No, no, no. Employees aren't
Okay.
allowed to smoke. No.
So also you mentioned, you have a store in Syracuse. It looks like it's been open about a year. Any lessons learned, any transferable lessons that you can extract for Manhattan or you believe you'll be able to extract?
In terms of lessons, it's more of an educational thing, like, educating customers on the different products. And that's why we went for like a larger space than average, just because we have vendors that would want to come in and teach customers about the differences in the products and stuff. Um, we haven't really had any issues up in Syracuse. Like we haven't really had any issues. There's not that many people that have issues just in general, given the regulations and the security that are in legal dispensaries. So, you know, yeah, not really. Other than just being compliant and knowing the rules and regulations of the OCM, not much. But in terms of the OCM, they're really strict. They're very keen on their operation and what you have to submit to them on a weekly basis, and the inspection that they have pre-opening, and then the inspection that you have and the audits that they have. Just making sure that all the paperwork is there, because they track everything from seed to sale.
I'm sorry, before you go. What's your queue number, your lottery number? You
Oh, that
filed-
I don't have it on the back of my head, but I can look it up and I can send it over to you later.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Rob. So your affiliation with Flintstone, are you located up in Syracuse?
Yeah, so right now the original Flintstone that was owned by Mike Flynn is opened up in Syracuse, New York, in the Armory Square. So
It was owned or still is owned?
no, it's still owned. It's still up and running. It's still doing really well.
Okay. So are you good? So who is Mohammed Yosef? It's on the application.
Who is Mohammed Yusuf? So he was the original. He's actually my brother-in-law, and he was the one who owns the license. And then I have a relationship with Mike Flynn, so we decided to collaboratively work together and open up a Flintstone, just because we learned a lot of the business of the regulations and stuff through Mike Flynn, because we were just, we got a license, but we didn't know how an official business works. I have my master's in finance. He has a security company, so we decided to work with someone who has experience.
Mike's going to be operating the 8th Avenue site?
So we would be the operators, but Mike Flynn would be weighing in. He just got an apartment in the city, so he's gonna be spending half of this time in Syracuse and half of his time in New York City. So he's gonna be involved in the operation, yes.
I'm just trying to get a handle on who's going to be the day-to-day operator on it. So Mohammed Yosef isn't going to be operating this location.
No, we would have a general manager that we would hire, who would be on the day-to-day, ringing customers up and doing all of that.
So that you haven't done yet.
We
Yeah.
haven't. So Mohammed is currently training in Syracuse, actually. So he's learning everything that has to get done and what the process is in terms of paperwork, in terms of inventory. So he would be the person that's going to be there. Obviously, when you open up a new business, you want to spend some time over there, but then eventually we want to hand it off to GM that we trust and have him run the operation. But Mohammed would be the day-to-day person.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned in your application, you want to help the city and the community. You want to participate in community events and you want to do education. Have you done any community events or education in Syracuse?
Yeah, we've done a ton of education. We work with the Syracuse University. We have local donations that we would give to different communities. Mike Flynn actually owns a roofing company, so he actually just donated a roof to a family who had a daughter who was going through cancer. In terms of educational wise. Every Friday there's an event on the third floor of Flintstone where different vendors would come in and they would just talk about their brand and talk about women in the industry who are trying to succeed in cannabis, veterans or other type of people, anyone who's just trying to get into the industry. So we have a good reputation in the community for sure. And we're trying to have the same reputation in New York City.
What did you do at Syracuse University?
They work with the men's basketball team where they hosted an event maybe 3 weeks ago. So I guess all of the men's basketball came into came into Flintstone store, just to like utilize the space, and that was about it. They actually asked us to be a sponsor for the basketball team and like donate money.
In terms of education, so, I'm sorry, I just want clarity, in terms of education, educating about cannabis. Did you say you did that?
Yeah, so educating about cannabis, knowing like what a state stamped product is and the difference between what you can buy on the street at a illegal store, knowing that it could be dangerous, it could be quote unquote laced or whatever it is, and knowing like, yeah, you'll pay more for something in a dispensary, but it's legal and it's all tested and it's all legit.
Quick question, could you go a little more detail about your security plan?
Yeah, so we hired a company, Greg Myers. So I believe I shared the security plan with the community board as well. They have like burglar alarms, they have motion sensors, they have cameras outside, they have cameras inside. There's a camera. It's a $65,000 security plan. And that's supposed to keep it safe. But on top of that, we have someone that we hired that stays in the front, and we have a security desk. I sent it in the rendering, so there'll be someone standing there making sure like everyone gets checked in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other, Dolores?
I asked enough at the beginning. I do see that we do have, if it's okay for us to go to the public, we have a couple folks that raise their hand virtually, and then I know that there may be some people in the room as well.
Sure. Dolores, it'll be all right. Can I just give a brief summary just because the communication to the block associations did go out late, so we did receive some words, some correspondence, and so some folks here in the room might have not been able to have a chance to review that. I do want to say we did receive a letter from the West 400 Block Association that represents the 400 block for West 21, 22, and 23 in opposition to this application. And we received a letter, first of all, the applicant received a request to postpone a month for the West 200 Block Association, which represents 19th, 20th, and 21st, and 22nd. Because of the late, they were unaware of the applicant coming to the task force. The applicant declined that request to postpone. But was willing to meet with them going forward. But the West 200 Block Association also then sent in a letter of opposition to this. We've also received about a small handful of individuals all in opposition. So I just wanted to give that summary to the folks here.
Jesse,
Yeah, I can bring over hands now.
Jesse, may I ask a question based upon what you just said? Those excuse me, those associations that filed their opposition, is it mainly because the applicant did not reach out to them, or are there other reasons why they are in opposition?
I see a number of hands who are representing, I think, some of those block associations, so they could probably speak better than I, but in terms of what was written was, I think, for the West 200 Block Association, they were requesting a postponement to be able to meet with the applicant and have a meeting with them. But without that meeting, they felt that they had no other option but to oppose it. I think in general, to summarize, just very briefly, because I'll let the Block Association reps go into detail. I think they have concerns about that stretch of Eighth Avenue. Has long had its very rough history. And so I don't think they necessarily think this use is the best idea for this for that stretch of Eighth Avenue. But I think the folks in who had their hands raised can speak better to that. So I'm gonna bring them over as they had their hand raised. So I'm gonna bring over Gail, Michael, Angelique, Pamela, and Sandra.
First of all, is it all right to talk?
Yes, go ahead, Gail. I will just, yeah, if you could, with just one more notice, if you notice in the room, we've got 46 people online and we have a packed room, so if we can be as concise and conservative, that'd be appreciated.
Number one, I'm a resident of London Terrace, and I didn't get an email from Bodine or whatever his name or her name was until about 5 o'clock. And I think that a lot more people would have participated if we were notified properly.
So Gail, we're
We
talking about a different location right now. This is at 206 8th Avenue, which is 20th and 21st Street. We've not discussed the one in London Terrace yet. So for the folks that
Are
had
you going to discuss the one in London Terrace?
yes, they're gonna
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's okay. They're gonna
Thank you.
they're gonna be presenting a little bit right after we speak to this applicant.
Okay,
So for
I'm
those that
sorry.
had their hand raised, just making sure that you are commenting or asking questions about Bright Elephant LLC, which is 206 8th Avenue. Okay, so let's go around the horn then. Angelique?
I'm sorry, I'm here about 219 9th
Okay.
Avenue.
All right, then just hang out. They haven't presented yet.
Okay.
Thank you. Pam, I know that you are here for this one.
I am. Hi. Yeah, ready for me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a letter, which I think you guys got delivered to you, but I'm going to read it into the record. I want the testimony there for future reference and on YouTube. Dear Chair Dolores Rubin. Hi, Dolores. The Chelsea West 200 Block Association wishes to state its position on the application before it at your November 21st meeting. First, we are not opposed to legal licensed establishments in Chelsea. We have a well-run licensed cannabis store on 23rd Street between 6th and 7th Avenues. We are opposed to the specific location of the site before you. The address is the former site of the adult Blue Store, which is a large space, roughly 2,500 square feet at the ground floor, not including a basement space. The 8th Avenue corridor from 20th to 22nd Streets has become a hazardous passage for our residents and visitors, including the twice daily parade of PS 11 school children who must run the gauntlet. Our 10th precinct maintains a presence at those times, as well as a police camera at the 21st Street corner. These measures are an indication of the deterioration of our quality of life in this corridor. We have the deli on the southwest corner of 8th Avenue and 21st Street, notorious for its drug activity and its fencing operations. The Rainbow Adult Store on the west side of 8th Avenue between 20th and 21st Streets. The Adult Blue Store, which has relocated from the site of the current application to the Adult Vibe Store, one door north at the southeast corner of 21st Street and 8th Avenue. We have the treasured Salvation Army Clothing Depot on the east side of 8th Avenue between 20th and 21st Streets, which brings to our blocks a welcome and diverse population located directly next to the proposed cannabis store and directly across the avenue from the Rainbow Store. All of this creates a vortex of adult, attractive sites and furthers the perception that this strip of Chelsea is where to come either to purchase one's adult paraphernalia or to prey on those who do. It has even been discussed, and I can't remember where, but I think it was in MCB4, that there should be a moratorium imposed on that section of 8th Avenue that is most affected from 20th to 22nd Streets. This is not an appropriate location for any more cannabis siting, licensed or not. And we thank you very much for your attention. Signed by Jasenko Vukadinovic. I wish I knew how to pronounce his name properly. He is our president of the Chelsea West 200 Block Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Now I'm going to go to Sandra.
I also submitted a letter to the committee. I'm very concerned. I live on the corner of 21st and 9th Avenue. So I am always on that section of 8th Avenue. And just today, when I was walking in that area, when the school was PS 11, which is on 21st Street between 8th and 9th, was letting out there are just so many families, kids, all walking in that area. There are also about a block or two away, several middle school and high schools. And you'll often see those students obviously walking by themselves, not with their parents. Basically, though, not to repeat everything that Pamela said, the area has been a big problem for the whole Chelsea neighborhood, not just in the last year or so, but more years. And I do think that the police have made some inroads into helping, but it's a big problem, and I'm concerned about the same things that Pamela is concerned about. And I don't think that particular neighborhood is a good location for any more adult-oriented services.
You're on mute, Dolores.
You couldn't hear me? I said, thank you, Sandra. No, just kidding. I knew I was on mute. No, I didn't. All right, Michael.
Recognize that background, Michael.
Oh, which Michael? Are there two?
No.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I want to mirror what Pam said. I'm a resident here. I live right near 21st and 8th Avenue. I have a ground floor apartment, and I see a lot of stuff. The onslaught of cannabis dispensary openings, or just, I guess, weed shops, because they weren't legal, a lot of them weren't legal, has only brought a lot of bad stuff. I've lived here for about 33 years. I've never seen it this bad since I've been here. I've seen drug deals go down multiple times. I've seen a lot of drug use. I have two daughters who both babysit in the area. They have walked past people not just smoking weed, smoking crack, and shooting up, and it's very worrisome because it brought a lot of bad stuff. The drug dealers that were on the corner, the cops have been doing a pretty good job, but it just attracts a crowd of people that are so eager to get drugs and then do them immediately. I'm kicking people out of my vestibule. Like, I'm just, it's just happening all the time. The sheer, until there's a cap, I don't think that on some level of concentration, we don't need any more weed shops or dispensaries in this neighborhood. It has just made things worse. I wish that Bright Elephant was where we started, but it's not. And until we clean up this neighborhood, there can't be any more weed shops on 8th Avenue. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I'll kick it back to Rodney to see if there's anyone in the room.
Is there anyone in the room looking to speak on 8th Avenue? No.
Okay, so for the committee, clearly this is a situation where we're hearing an applicant that has experience, is using as a consultant, a business partner that knows the business, But we're hearing from the community that the location itself is worrisome. I don't think that I heard anyone mention that they had a problem in particular with what they heard from this applicant, but they all spoke to the location. So opening it up to conversation from the committee based on what we're hearing.
Jesse, we may have one more person. Is that where we stepping?
Oh, okay.
Good to see.
Oh, there you go. Stephanie.
Bringing you over now.
Stephanie?
You're on mute.
Hi. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi. I want to reiterate some of the concerns that have already been voiced by the other community members. I've lived in Chelsea since I was an infant. I grew up on the West 400 block of 22nd Street. I now reside on the 300 block of 21st. So I experience every single day the problem area of that corridor that Pam was talking about on 8th Avenue. This is not the location for a cannabis store. However, respectfully, I was underwhelmed with the presentation of Bright Elephant. And I'm sorry to have to say that, but there were a lot of questions that were answered in a I'm figuring this out kind of manner. I know one member pointed out some inconsistencies between what was spoken and what was submitted. I think that while I'm vehemently opposed to this store getting an operation in this location, also, if God forbid we did have to have a cannabis store in this location, this doesn't feel like the right fit. It's not an experience that the person who actually is getting the license has the experience. And I didn't hear anything really specific about what they would do to support the community. It's not what the community needs. It's going to add to our existing problems, but also there was nothing concrete about helping the community. Helping the community is not getting into college, giving a space to college kids. That's helping their business. Security measures, that's helping their security, not our security. Is their security guard going to walk me down the street when people are troublesome? No, it's about them protecting their business, which I respect, but that's not protecting our lives as community members. So I just wanted to be on record that I do take issue with Bright Elephant's presentation. I'm sorry for that, but I had to say it.
No reason to apologize. Thank you, Stephanie. We appreciate you letting us know your concerns and being a lifelong resident of Chelsea. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just getting texts from other folks who are having technical difficulties getting to raise their hand. So I think Miguel has it.
And Carrie just raised her hand.
Yeah, I see that too. So I will bring her over. But Miguel Acevedo from the Fulton Tenants Association is, I think, here as well. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. Go ahead, Carrie.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm in Mexico, so I couldn't get on. But I wanted to say really quickly, I'm Carrie Keenan. I live at 259 West 21st. And I am here I'm on community board 4, but I'm here as not in my capacity as a board member. I have been a resident of 21st Street for I don't know, somewhere between 25 and 30 years. And as you guys know, and I haven't heard what anyone else says, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating people, but we are very concerned with the application for a cannabis shop on 8th Avenue between 21st and 22nd. I'm sorry, 20th and 21st, because as you know, we are having a tremendous amount of problems with drug use, drug abuse, crime right there. And we've complained to the board, we've complained to our elected officials, we've complained to the 10th precinct multiple times. And though I mostly vote in favor of legal cannabis shops because I'm really very against illegal cannabis shops. I'm extremely concerned about the location of this cannabis shop. And I know that, you know, any neighbor could say that. We have lots and lots of evidence of problems there across the street. And we also have PS 11 right there, you know, an elementary school. So I would please ask that we recommend denial, and that you know, hopefully there's a place that is less controversial. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, Miguel.
Hi, everyone. I'm also another one that supports the legal cannabis, but it's unfortunate. This is beyond a terrible location. We all see what goes on right across the street from that location. Literally daily. I drive my wife to work every day, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's crowded out there with these druggies out there. And it doesn't look like that Tempe has been able to handle it, even though they're trying their best. I mean, you would have to be parked there 24 hours a day to stop them. And then one of the things you mentioned was you want to have security inside. In this location, you would need a number of security guards outside for them to try to get inside. That's how bad it is, that location. And then the other thing that puzzles me is the name of the location, Flintstone. Remember, we have all these schools around there. It's like a joke by you saying Flintstone. You know, a kid to tell a parent, hey, what does the Flintstones have across the street? Is it something for a kid? There's no way that you're taking any consideration of our community. I reached out to you, and just like you said, people did email me. You made no attempt to email me back to tell me, sure, let's meet, let's this, like that. You did none of the above. And I echo what Carrie, Pam, and everybody's saying. Terrible location. I would appreciate if this committee would oppose this wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. We just also had another hand go up. Deborah?
Yeah, I'm bringing her over. Oh, Miguel, I'm sorry, can you identify yourself? And I don't know if you're speaking on just behalf of yourself or your.
My apologies. My apologies. I'm Miguel Lassie, the Tenant Associate President of Robert Fulton Houses in Niger location, located at 16th Street to 19th Street and 9th Avenue, where we have multiple children that live in this development. And one of the big issues that we deal with is actually kids from the schools that come to Fulton Houses to literally get high every single day.
Thank you, Miguel. I seem to be having some difficulty bringing Deborah over. I'm just gonna allow her to speak, which will give her the ability to speak, and she'll be able to see her camera. Deborah, you can go ahead.
Deborah, can you hear us? You're unmuted. You can speak. Okay, there may be some technical difficulties there.
Lower her hand and I'll move her back.
Yep. So back to the committee. Again, we're hearing we've heard now some issues with the actual applicant, but mostly what we're hearing is concerns about the location. So opening it up to conversation.
Bucks.
Yeah, well, the location speaks for itself, and it's been certainly spoken about. I'm concerned more with management, part-time management seems, or people learning on the job. I'm sure Flintstones in Syracuse is a terrific operation. I've checked out online some of the responses that have been given, but I'm not comfortable with this possibly trying to duplicate it here on 8th Avenue and 21st Street, a whole different ballgame. And I don't have the confidence in the folks in the New York area to run an operation over there. So that's all I'll say about the Jim.
I'm not gonna repeat what he said. I'm just gonna add on. I am uncomfortable. I don't know if it would help if they got together with the neighborhood. As the applicant said, he just sent out an email yesterday.
I just wanted to say one thing. I'm sorry. The reason I sent the email out yesterday was because Mr. Jesse, when I emailed him and I asked him what I have to say to the Block Association, if you want, I'll read what his email said, and he said, "I'm sorry, I wasn't able to send this email out. I didn't realize it was unsent." And that came in yesterday, and I'm sure you can ask him. I sent the email like 5 minutes after he sent it, so it wasn't a lack of me not wanting to send it over. And I know Mr. Michael said that I didn't have the the respect to respond to his email, but that was less than 24 hours ago, and we are going to meet today. And I know you guys don't have the confidence or don't believe that I'm able to run a business. I'm not. It's not growing weed over there, by the way. It's literally selling something that's in a packet that comes pre-packaged. I have my MBA in finance. I graduated with a 4.0 GPA, so I'm well overqualified to be running a dispensary. I've had multiple businesses that did millions and millions of dollars in revenue. You guys can look me up on Google, ChatGPT, whatever you guys want. So if there's anyone that's going to be running a business in Chelsea, it's going to be me, who's going to make sure it's a really well-run business. And concerns about kids getting high, they're not allowed to buy from us if they're not over 21 years old. The weed that they buy in a legal dispensary is not the $10 weed that they're buying at a deli across the street. And if there's an actual problem with the businesses who are selling it illegally, I say go after them. If we were awarded a license and we're approved by the OCM, we should have the right to do everything legally and legitimately.
Yeah, Keith.
Okay, and just to finish, if you got together with the neighborhood, you might very well be able to work out some of the issues. I don't know, but the fact is you haven't, so there's a little bit of insecurity here.
I just didn't know. I just didn't know until
And I
yesterday.
understand that.
Yeah, I just didn't know until yesterday.
Respectfully, Ron, the very first email I sent out in response to getting a 30-day notice outlines everything you have to do.
It said to put the
So-
notice on the wall, which I did for the 14th, and then I didn't know, like, if you want me to sign a
You
petition
go
out
back to
there.
the very first email that the board sends out about this to every applicant, it identifies what you're gonna have to do.
So let's just note that we haven't had the community conversation that the community wants. But again, I'd like to just continue the conversation with the task force. Sanford, did you have any comments? Anything that you'd like to?
Sure. So I would just like to confirm and sort of pick up where Pam spoke of. That was one of my concerns. I was in the neighborhood earlier today. That corner, the bodega, you have young adults at that corner at all times of the day standing around. It's just my concern, and it's actually that block where the proposed cannabis store would be, or to the west. Yeah, so we're just concerned about that.
Yeah, it just feels hard to get around the location issue. I think there are potentially great things about them as operators and, to a degree, so the finance experience, et cetera, and the security plan sounds pretty good. But, it's hard to get around this particular location. This has been a problem. We have heard these issues for years. And I think it's not, yes, this would be sold legally, but I think given just the activity that's around there, it's not so prudent to introduce more drugs, even if legal, to that area. It's such a concentrated area. It's just a tough block. It's just a really tough block. And that's not your fault, but that's just the reality.
It's also really hard to find locations in New York City. Like
I'm sure,
it's
yeah.
like between the 1,000-foot rule, landlords not having a mortgage, just like the space doesn't work, the rent is super hard. So like in the city, there's only a certain amount of locations and you have to pick and choose what you can get. If I could take a spot and put it in another location, I would, but there's only a limited amount of space available. And that's why like when we decided to go with Chelsea, we were looking at this location, Barry West, that's his name. He was the one who accepted the use and he said that he's happy to have us. What we can do is just try to offer anything that the community wants and just do the best that we could. If it comes to the point where we need to have a security guard outside, I mean, we're happy to do that, So if that's something that's going to make the community feel more safe, we're happy to do it, So happy to hear all the concerns, and I understand some people are against it. But there were a couple residents in the area who were for it, so what we're gonna do is try to make the community happy, and I want you guys to be confident and trusting us that we know how to run an operation. I know Flintstone is in Syracuse, but the entire concept is the same down to the POS system and the product that we're selling. And Mike Flynn, the entire team is going to be with us running the operation.
So just to note, basically following on Wendy's comments, we can't, the location is mostly what the role of a community board is in this process, is to determine whether or not a location is appropriate.
Got it.
Clearly, there's the regulations that we want to make sure that are being followed, but you have to because they're the regulations.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, Wendy, as you said, it's very difficult to get around the location. So I'm wondering if, from the rest of the task force, if there's a recommendation here that we're moving towards. We have had situations in the past where we've had operators where we have felt that they've made a presentation that we were very confident that they would be successful, but not for the location, and we've denied that. And there have been situations where we've been less confident with an operator based on them not having all of their details yet. And we've actually approved because the location was fine and we recognized that they had consultants, et cetera, to help them manage the business going forward. So am I hearing anything from the task force on a potential motion?
My motion would be to deny, unfortunately. I think the exception would be if the applicant wanted to postpone and try to meet with the community over the next month and see if the value of this business, this operator's additional security, if that felt in the end to the community, like, okay, actually this could be a positive in this space. But without that community support, it's just very hard to approve.
Imran, are you willing to?
I second that motion, Wendy.
Okay. Are you willing to postpone for a month and have a conversation with the community and then come back to us?
Totally. I'm totally for it. Whenever you guys want, I'm happy to do whatever the community wants. Postpone it. I'll be at the next one. I'm ready to meet in between. Whatever you guys want to get to know us. I'll have Mike Flynn with me. He's arriving on Monday, so he's here for the holidays. So I'm happy to introduce myself to everyone and meet everybody.
Okay, great. Jesse, obviously that's not a motion on, that was a suggestion, so we don't need to vote on that. Is that correct?
That's correct, but just so we're clear, I'm on this, that's on you, that's your responsibility, to follow up on that list. Obviously, like you said, Miguel reached out to you, you obviously have had the correspondence with the 200 block association. The 400 block association would be the other one, but I think another email, your first email did a very good job of explaining what you guys were doing, but I think another similar email out tomorrow to start having those conversations when Mike is in town, and we have a month, but you do have a holiday in there and things can move very quickly, so we don't want to be having the same conversation in 30 days.
Okay, and then would it be okay if I just sent over the floor plan and what the rendering would look like and the security plan that we have proposed in that email to everybody?
Whatever you'd like to send out to the group, to that group of folks, that's fine. What I've learned though, and I think you did the first time, you BCC everybody, so that you don't create a gigantic email thread of people sending comments, so.
Got it. Okay, no problem. I'll definitely do that. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to discussing this again next month.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, we are now going to move to the first item on the agenda, which is 219 9th Avenue, AFLI LLC, West 23rd, 24th. If you are with this application, if you could please raise your virtual hands and we'll bring you over so that you can present. And while they're raising their hands, I wanted to just make sure that the task force is aware. This is a location we actually have discussed before. This very specific location, we had an applicant, we had a very robust conversation last year around this location because the applicant demonstrated that they had experience in the industry. They demonstrated that they understood the regulation. And ultimately, we denied the location because of community opposition to the location. So I just wanted to remind everyone that we've actually reviewed this location before. We have a new applicant that is coming here this evening. And I do see we brought over Amanda Barton.
The applicants are here in the room, I believe. So,
Oh, you're in the room.
yeah.
And we
Yeah.
also have a PowerPoint presentation to share if anyone,
You want to give it to?
yes, can I, it's a PDF that can be airdrop or email is the best way.
Do you have my email?
I can take it right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. So we'll give him a few moments to go ahead and send that to Jesse and he can do his magic.
Okay, what's your email?
Bring that up.
Letter J and then BODINE at CB, like community board, dot NYC dot GOV.
Great. And that's been recorded and your email is now available to everybody.
Everybody knows it already.
That's true. They already have it.
It's sent.
Give me a second. This I'm not sure if I want to, okay, that doesn't automatically show my password. So. You don't have it on a flash drive, do you?
Unfortunately, no.
Does Amanda have it?
I can email it to Amanda. Yes.
Got it. Let's do it. If Amanda has it, she can share it from her side.
Yes.
I have it on my phone. I'm trying to put it on my computer so I could share it.
Oh, great. Thanks, Amanda. Might have come up in your junk.
Yeah, it's just too big. Unless you're a gladiator too. We're under the city website firewall stuff, so it's gonna take a while. Let's just see who gets it first, me or Amanda. Amanda, any luck on your end?
Yes, I have it. I'm just going to share my screen right now.
Great. Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Wonderful.
Okay, so if you can introduce yourselves and let us know what you're looking to do here at 219 9th Avenue.
Absolutely, Dolores. First and foremost, thank you all for welcoming us tonight. We're looking forward to this conversation. I'm Allison Carney, and these are our associates and partners, Elena Rostowski, Marco Popovich, and Bruce Sturman over here. We are looking to open and operate a state licensed recreational cannabis dispensary. And we're looking forward to going through our small and short presentation tonight and addressing any of your concerns. We're experienced in many different backgrounds here. We're hoping to have a wonderful, confluence of collaborators into this endeavor together.
I'm sorry, the screen share. The screen share is making is not allowing me to flip through the slides. I apologize for the difficulty.
We have it in front of me here. So we can just jump ahead while the next slide is coming. We're just discussing a little bit more. Wonderful. Yeah. Great. So we come from, as we mentioned, a diverse background from the restaurant and hospitality industry in multiple boroughs across the greater New York City area, as well as a background in public health, masters in business, and we are ready to join all these forces together. Next slide. So the best part about opening up a licensed cannabis dispensary is you never have to be concerned about what kind of products are going. A little louder, you got it. So one of the best parts about the licensed recreational cannabis program in New York State is this quality assurance. Every product comes with a licensed certificate of analysis that has to be approved and run multiple times if anything comes up, before it can reach our store. Not only is it quality assured by a New York State laboratory, but it also comes tamper resistant, child proof. And let me tell you, some of these packages are so child resistant that us grown adults have trouble opening them too. One thing that we know for sure, different than the illicit market, is we know where these products are coming from. As the other applicants have mentioned, the BioTrack trace and track system, seed to sale. We know exactly what plot of land, what seed, what production, manufacturer, everything, every flower, every gummy, every vaporizer might have come from. Another really wonderful thing about the New York State legal program, as I'm sure you've heard before, is that they prioritize New York farms. And we as operators will too. It's an equity-based program, making sure that they foremost, bring into this community justice involved individuals who have had their lives, ravaged by the war on drugs, woman-owned businesses, diversity-owned businesses, really giving back to communities that have so far not been empowered by cannabis over many decades. So we're excited to offer a new opportunity and an outlet for those businesses as well. Next slide. Thank you. So safety and concern, security and safety are always a big issue when it comes to cannabis stores. One thing that is super important to recognize is during operating hours, 11 to 9 is what we're aiming for. We will have an on-site security screening IDs before they come inside, as well as a second ID check at the register before purchase to ensure that the person buying the product is the right person buying the product and not somebody else, doesn't get mixed up at all. Another important thing that I think gets missed in a lot of these conversations is the more robust the legal market, the weaker the illicit market. And we operate a store in Astoria. We support their operations. When they opened, they were surrounded by 20 illegal stores within 2 blocks. And now 19 of them have been closed. We work very closely with Office of Cannabis Management enforcement teams, whether here or in Albany, the local precinct. We work very closely with the 311 operators now do really respond to the illicit phone calls. We are more than happy to support those endeavors as well, because, in an equity-based program, how equitable is it that we're going through these efforts to make sure the community is comfortable with our store and with our business plan and these people or even businesses, whatever they may be, to be operating with that licensure and selling products that we know go untested. So we're very happy to reduce some of these concerns that we've heard from the community already about the illicit market and the number of cannabis stores. They really do reduce as the legal market becomes more robust. There will be no loud music, no live music, no loitering. Our biggest goal is to get people in and out and on with their way in the safest, most efficient manner. And so we are making sure the security company that we're contracted with, we've already emailed in a lengthy security plan. We're working with John Cutter Investigations as our, physical security, and we're happy to answer any more questions per compliance. We can't consume within 40 feet. We're making sure to enforce that. We enforce it in the store, in Astoria as well. And so again, any other kind of concerns you might have, we're happy to address. Next slide. So this is actually my kind of little passion about this presentation. My background is a master's in public health, and I was an elementary school teacher before that. So the benefits and wellness aspect of cannabis, as well as community awareness and education, is right in our wheelhouse. Elena also will talk about her endeavors with Rethink Food, an organization that provides healthy meals to underserved communities around the greater New York City area. But we really, really are passionate about this education coming to the community. What we've experienced in Astoria is people come in and they're so used to buying from their corner dealers or their illicit stores that they really have no idea what they're actually looking for. And so they'll come in, they'll ask for, a certain percentage on a, how strong is this cannabis? I want to, use this product, and our team, which we're going to make sure to bring here, goes into all of the education that you can imagine, whether it is how it's grown in the soil, how it's grown under lights, what is the terpene profile, what kind of cannabinoids reduce inflammation. All of these kind of, important benefits are no purchase necessary, what we're looking to bring to the community too. All of the brands and farms are passionate about this as well. And so in our store in Astoria, we have people coming in all the time in their cultivation bar, sitting and talking about how the flower is grown, how it's kept safe, how it's distributed safely, and how most of these family-owned farms are scaling their business in this new legal market. As we mentioned, sharing this with the community, going over the BioTrack system, but not only just about cannabis itself. One thing that we realize is there's not so much public education on what an illicit store versus a legal store looks like and how to identify that. So we're really passionate about, the top 3 ways to identify an illegal store. Number 1, are they selling snacks? It's an illegal store. Number 2, are they checking ID at the door? No, it's an illegal store. Number 3, is it visible from the street? It's an illegal, the products inside, it's an illegal store. These are very robust compliance regulations that we aim to stay within, and also help the community identify these stores, and then the resources to follow up with the enforcement team at Office of Cannabis Management. Next slide. So again, keeping cannabis out of the hands of minors, that is first and foremost our biggest priority. As I mentioned, my background in public health, I've been working for a decade in adolescent health. We understand the implications of cannabis use in minors, and we are here to promote it as a 21 and over product. One thing that we do know for sure from robust research from across the world, even if you look at the Netherlands, for example, their robust legal market, they have some of the lowest rates of minor cannabis use in the world because it's a highly regulated market. So what we know, results suggest, this is from JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association Pediatrics, is the results suggest that legalization and greater control over cannabis markets have not facilitated adolescents' entry into substance use. And that is because the illegal stores, the corner dealers where they're getting these products, are being shut down at greater veracity than they would have before. Next slide, please. And now we're happy Bruce is here to join us. He is a long-term resident here in Chelsea, and I think has some very poignant words as to why this can benefit the community.
Hi. Good evening. I'm the founder of Unlicensed NYC. It's a nonprofit finding non-judicial ways of closing the unlicensed stores. For 3 years prior, I was the director of operations for the New York City Cannabis Industry Association. It's the New York State Trade Association. I'm here today to speak in support of Cannabis because I am beyond impressed with the way Cannabis has combined entrepreneurial skill with neighborhood involvement in Astoria. That means more than just a beautifully designed store, professional management, clean sidewalks, clean windows, informative customer service, checking the age, identification of every customer that comes in. It also means hiring from the community, which I have seen them do. It also means weekly art exhibits featuring neighborhood artists. That is instinctive, inventive, thoughtful entrepreneurialism that engages a neighborhood. For 35 years, from 1979 to 2014, I was a Chelsea resident, 225 West 14th Street, and then 160 West 16th Street, corner of 7th Avenue. I raised 2 kids in this community, bought them donuts every Friday on the way to school at the donut pub. Apple donuts were affordable. In 1984, my wife and I opened the Manhattan Chili Company. 302 Bleecker Street, back when Bleecker Street was affordable. The landmark approved storefront we installed is still standing today. In 1994, we moved to another CB4 zip code 10036, 1500 Broadway, back when Times Square was affordable. I became an active member of the Times Square Alliance. So I can say that I have lived my adult life in the ebb and flow of Community Board 4, exercising at Chelsea Piers, shopping at Chelsea Market, operating a full-service Times Square restaurant. Over my years in business, I came to understand that the health of the neighborhood is reflected in its entrepreneurs' passion for and commitment to its neighborhood. Will Cannavita bring its passion and commitment to London Terrace and to Chelsea? Will Cannavita be passionate about being part of and responsive to complaints? Passionate about clean windows, passionate about clean sidewalks? Will they be responsive to noise and odor complaints from the community? Will they be passionate about checking age identification so no one under the age of 21 enters the premises? I'm here to say, you betcha, or I can say damn straight. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions about unlicensed NYC.
Okay. And he's also, as you mentioned, can answer any questions after this presentation as well. So thank you again for that statement. Next slide, Elaine.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Elena Ristovsky. I am part of a group that owns and operates several restaurants on Upper West Side. And thank you for having us here tonight. My main focus is running the catering business of our restaurants, which operates mostly as an emergency food provider. So we work for the city of New York, various departments like the Department of Sanitation, Department of Homeless Services, emergency management, and so forth. We are also a proud partner of many nonprofits. Rethink is one of them. Rethink Food, Food First, or Food First Foundation, the Covenant House, which is right here in this zip code. We are actually one of their biggest supporters since 2021. Bowery Mission, City Harvest, and food bank, you name it. We work, and we are still working with all of them. So my job here is always finding ways of how we can connect with all these nonprofits, with the local food banks, food pantries, and see how we can help people in need by providing healthy and nutritional meals.
Just to piggyback off of Elena's statement too, we do work in Astoria with a lot of local businesses. In fact, tonight in our store, we're doing a candle making with one of the restaurants right around on the corner from us. That restaurant that we're working with, Comfortland, runs various food and clothing donations during the holidays, and we post up bins for a different outpost for that, give out raffle tickets, they go and they get food over at Comfortland. So we really do strive, and with Elena on this team, we really do strive for those community connections outside of cannabis, just to even, you know, we understand the kind of perception cannabis dispensaries have, and that's something.
And
we're-
also it provides you a power, it's in a power in the sense of an ability to help people in need. So we are always finding ways, how can we contribute more? So all of these relationships are long-term relationships. Like wherever we go, we are very intertwined and connected with the community itself. So we are not here temporarily, we are here to stay. Any problem, any ideas, any love, any interest that you have, we are here for it.
Thank you. Next slide. A major pillar of our business is fair and equitable hiring practices. In Astoria, we hired mostly people living in the community, mostly for their whole lives. In fact, one person who started off working at the register was promoted to captain and is now a manager at our store, born and raised in the Astoria community. We understand that Chelsea is a very diverse and rich community, and we look to have that profile in our store as well. Sorry, was someone saying something? But hiring locally is really the most important pillar of our staffing operation. We also work with different organizations who do internship programs leading to job creation. We're here looking to bring in, you know, jobs that people can depend on, jobs that people can feel good about, that they can tell their families about, that they want to show up to work for. And I think that that's a culture that we've been able to establish at the, you know,
That they can support their families.
all the
It's like more than just the minimum wage. It's something that they can, we're also like, we're part of one wage fair. So we really care about the minimum and how much this or our employees are being paid, because this is something they have to support their families with.
And not only that, you know, internal promotion and hiring, we believe in that job growth, and we're ready to bring that to our store. Shall we get approved in Chelsea? Next slide, please. Customer engagement, customer flow, just kind of getting an idea of what we envision for the store. As we mentioned in our safety and security slide, every customer will be screened their ID on an actual application. It's called VeriScan, goes directly to our register. All of their information is collected. And that way, it's never happened yet to our knowledge. But if there is any reason to get in touch with a customer, we have their information. We can go directly to them and say, hey, we want to let you know this brand said this about this product. Again, it's never happened, but this is why we scan IDs. It is because it's a legal system and we want everything above board and transparent. They are greeted by a floor tender that is on the, I would say, sales floor with the tablet, helping them go through what will be a variety of products, really something for everyone. We'll get into that in a bit. So that will help with the efficiency. Again, in and out of the store, we're not looking for loitering. We're more than happy to give as much time needed to any customer that wants the education. But we are looking also to streamline people's experiences, get them in and out as they please. So there will be clear posted state regulations in our store, you know, 21 and over only. It is harmful to consume while pregnant. You know, all of these different compliance regulations that we have to have. No operating heavy machinery, no forklifts, anybody, if you're going to consume. You know, and our license as well, very visible for every customer to come in, as well as any advertising we might do on any platform. Those regulations also have to be present. So we make sure to follow that through and through. Next slide, please. So product availability and compliance with Office of Cannabis Management. As we mentioned, all of the products come from New York farms. In fact, even if it's a gummy, an edible, a soda even, are really fun new products on the market. All of the flower they use to make their products have to come from New York State. So again, even if it is a brand that might be available in another state, here they're working with a New York licensed distributor and they're sourcing New York flower for their products. So that is all that's going to be sold per compliance. We also, again, given our backgrounds and giving our, understanding of how cannabis is used by some novice users, some seasoned users, there will be traditional flower if people are looking for it, but also many more wellness oriented. We have plant-based swallowable tablets with microdoses, so people who are entering in don't have to be too overwhelmed. We have also THC-free products, CBD, CBN, CBG for focus. My father right now is unfortunately battling cancer and he has some of our products. It's a high CBD, CBG, helps reduce swelling, stimulate appetite. We have people coming in for those products too, not just looking to get as high as possible. So it's much more of a wellness oriented recovery from workout. CBC is an incredible recovery, giving your muscles and the endocannabinoid system that opportunity to rejuvenate after a hard workout and all that sweat. So we're looking forward to bringing that kind of wellness oriented product line to this neighborhood as well. Again, our team is very well trained and guided in this. We like to think of ourselves kind of as tour guides through your infused lifestyle, whatever that might be. And again, they're very well trained by all the brands. We do in-store training for every product that comes in. Again, CBD only, and we will not be selling any tobacco or alcohol products that's against compliance, and we just would never mix something that has, so many benefits like cannabis and cannabinoids with alcohol and tobacco. We're looking to keep things separate as well. Next slide. I'm almost done, everyone. So with our community benefits initiative, as we mentioned, the educational series, it's not just for customers, it is for anyone who is curious in the legal market. We are bringing education about how to identify the illicit stores, how to report the illicit stores, and how to keep, Chelsea safer, because from the presentations before, it sounds like these illicit stores are a real issue here. And so we're happy that the legal market really reduces that presence. Again, with the community awareness, in front of on the window outside of the store is a QR code that anyone can QR code directly to the government verification website. So that's another way to tell if an illicit store is illicit. They're not going to have a QR code in their window. And finally, research. As my background, master's in public health, I was research oriented for a decade. We love to see the rescheduling of cannabis across the United States. It means that more research, more information. My alma mater, Columbia, is one of the universities already doing cannabis research. And we're looking into, there's new research coming out for CBD, for example, being an antifungal, bringing in skin healing properties. So we are looking forward to staying attuned and, having more robust data than just this kind of diary data we're playing with these days. And again, sharing that research with the community through a newsletter, whatever ways works for Chelsea. Next and last slide. So here's an example of what your local licensed dispensary can look like. In Astoria, people walk in and they don't think that they're in a dispensary, they think they're in an art gallery. Now we know that it is a different community. We're not looking to have these kind of events, loud music, any of that. However, we would love to offer space, shall it, allow it for art on the wall from the community, bright lights, something that anyone looking to work in THC, CBD, whatever into their lifestyle can feel confident and proud and safe going into, and we're looking to translate that to the surrounding community as well. And thank you again for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I just wanted to start off, you mentioned a lot about community. Also, you have one of your team members there with their connection to the community directly. What conversations have you had with block associations, et cetera? What outreach have you done so far?
Specifically, we actually have a very good relationship with the Covenant House, which I think is within your area. We continue working with them. We actually prepare around 500 to 1,000 meals every second week and so forth. But we are planning to contact 2 churches. I think was at St. Baptist and St. John, if I'm not mistaken. They've I have them written down. St. John, yes, and St. Peter's, I'm so sorry. They work as a soup kitchen. We want to see how we can offer our services to them and how many times, how often we can provide the hot and nutritional meals for them. But beyond that, anything, any suggestion that comes from this meeting, we're happy to take into good consideration and look into it.
We have about 50 people in attendance that probably will be able to give you that feedback. So we'll just move along to the rest of the task force members to ask if any questions that you have specifically for the applicant.
I do. First, I'm just wondering on the application you put, you have no cannabis experience. I'm wondering what happened. You have the store in Astoria, but your application says, while the owners of the applicant do not have prior experience.
I'm an operator, I'm not an owner, so so I would be supporting these operations with the owners.
Okay, thank you. Second question, do you have your Q number, lottery number? You guys know what that is? From OCM?
Yes, we do.
What's the number?
I can't tell you right now.
Okay.
I can speak to that. I'm Amanda Barton. I'm an attorney. I represent the applicant AFLI. They were actually one of the card licensee recipients, so they are not in either the November or December queue. They were actually a card recipient.
I do have questions on the security outline. Just curious, what's the thought consideration to the aesthetics of the building with the signage? The building has a distinct look. How would you complement that without disturbing it? So one of the things I read was you were gonna put signs on the outside that said under surveillance and that type of stuff. How do you plan in the arch windows? I think would be difficult. I mean, what's the thought behind those? How do you complement the building?
So basically, by the law, we can put only 2 signs without logo. So we can put our name and we're gonna put it is a licensed dispensary, legal dispensary, and that's gonna be all we're gonna put on the building. It's not gonna be anything more than that. Because by compliance of Office of Cannabis Management, we can only have 2 signs without logo.
Anything to the windows?
The windows needs to be covered.
Yeah.
Needs to be covered and nothing is gonna be visible out inside. So they're gonna be covered.
Okay. And the entrance one way in, was that 9th Avenue or 23rd?
We decide to be, after the conversations with community, we decide to be on the 9th Avenue because the entrance of the building is 23rd Street.
Okay. And then what's gonna happen with the doorway on 23rd?
We're gonna just close it. We're gonna have only one entrance.
And then the basement.
Yes.
I'm concerned about that large space. Is that gonna just hold cannabis?
It's gonna be, you would be surprised how much space we would need for the whole operation. We're gonna have office, we're gonna have room where we're receiving all the products.
Cameras, there's so many cameras, so there is more, we need actually more space for the cameras and the surveillance than
Security.
the product itself.
Every inch
Yes.
has to be shown and
Exactly.
OCM has to have access per regulation and
At all
compliance.
time.
We have to
Yeah.
save all footage for over 61 days as
Yes.
well. And so that's why that basement space is so crucial because we need to be able to maneuver around it and have every inch of it on camera view.
Versus a product being stored and stashed and, we understand your concerns, but it's not for that.
Thank you.
We covered most of my questions. But who's actually on site and how is it broken down? Who's gonna be?
Me and Alison, the most of the time, I would say every day, but also the whole crew is gonna be helping us.
We know each other for a very long time. We're actually very close to each other. We work very well because everybody's great in their own aspect or their own expertise, so we can only complement to each other and the business itself.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Marko Popovic.
So neither owner is here. Do I have that right?
No, they're here too.
Oh, they're here too?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay.
We're too many people to
Yeah,
say.
big family,
So he
big
gave me
family.
the space. He gave me the spot. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And we were happy to
Everyone's here.
answer questions as best we could.
Given the numbers on.
Yeah, we're a non-rush.
Sanford Road, any
So, what do you want to say?
Okay, very nice presentation.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate
Thank you.
that.
We can open it up?
Well, you want to go to-
Before you open it
Dolores
up.
and Raul? Raul.
Oh, well,
Dolores and Raul, do you have any further?
No one else,
No question.
no one else has something to say?
No questions from me.
Okay,
We're still doing committee,
Sorry.
so.
I do have one additional question, just to clarify the, not just like the community organizations you're familiar with, which I think are great. Have you spoken to any block associations or any other kind of community meetings?
We did not, but honestly, the next step, it would be to talk about with all association, also the local police station, the fire department. That's like procedure we are doing every single time. So definitely from tomorrow morning, we're gonna introduce ourselves to police station.
And we would love, so sorry, go on.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Again, Amanda, on behalf of AFLI, we did send out an email a week ago to all the block associations. We have received some questions, which we have responded to. We even sent out a follow-up because we did get some common questions. So we did send a follow-up email with some additional information, and we invite any other questions anyone may have. We try to respond as promptly as possibly.
And to your point as well, we also invite suggestions for collaborations as well. If there's businesses in the neighborhood that you think would be keen to collaborate on something,
Because every neighborhood is
Yes.
specific and different, so that's why we're always open. We wanted just to show you that we have people in different areas for different aspects. So we're not here just for the business, cannabis, the product itself, and us asking to enter your home. But we're here to show that we have various of aspects of our team that will dedicate ourselves, our time and work to help improve this community.
Raul, were you gonna say something?
No questions from me at this time. Thank you, Dolores.
Okay.
Dolores, can I just ask you a quick question? I'm not, I have no idea how many people are planning on speaking, so I'm sort of holding back because I don't want to take up extra time. Are all the people who are online and here planning on saying something?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. We have a significant amount.
There's a significant number of people who are gonna wanna speak.
Just to get a count.
Yeah.
Sure, so the request is for the folks that are online, if you can raise your virtual hand if you're looking to speak. If it's all right with Dolores and Ronnie, I'd like to give a similar summary of what we've received so far, so everybody is on the same page.
Thank you, Jesse.
And I communicated this to the client, to the applicant as well earlier today. We received letters from the London Terrace, and I apologize to all the folks at London Terrace if I get all the different names on it. There's multiple groups and multiple owners and different associations, so I apologize if I don't say this all right. But London Terrace Towers owners board, we received a letter from them. We received a letter from the London Terrace Tenant Association, which is a separate a separate set of buildings. And then both opposing the application. We received somewhere between 25 and 30 letters from different other building boards, neighboring building boards, associations, and individuals all in opposition to the location, the application for this location. I think that's it.
And this location would be in the towers, is that considered the towers?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. 405.
So I deferred back to Dolores and.
Yep,
Ronnie,
so
how do you look
what
at
I
it?
would say is let's start with the folks in the room. Because you have a significant number of people in the room, so Rodney, if you wanna direct traffic there.
Sure, if you could stand up, say your name and your affiliation to where you live or work within the community or work.
Yeah, hello, everybody.
And we're gonna try to limit it to a minute since we have so, but.
I can do it.
Okay.
I have it down to 5 points.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Bellucci. I am on the co-op board of the West 24th Owners Corporation. We did send a letter to probably one of the men. We represent 96 apartments on the north side of 24th Street between 9th and 10th Avenues. Appreciate your very thorough and noble goal of what you're trying to do. What we're dealing with is the reality of a tremendous crime problem in our co-op because of drug-related issues. I brought to include in the record just one photo of what we're dealing with, of people breaking into our building who are doing crack. We have them on video, smoking weed, sleeping in the stairways. I've been a victim of one of those when I was going out to walk my dog and I was assaulted in my building. And that was the record. We have more of that. We're working with, when we were made aware of the interest back in January of this location, we expressed our concern. We've been working with police, the 10th precinct, all the way up and down the chart. They've come to our building. We've increased security. It's gotten worse since January. So, well, again, we understand what you're trying to do. We understand the good parts of it. Adding more drugs to an area that's already crippled with drug crime, we just don't see as a way to go. It's almost like bringing a gun store into an area that has a tremendous amount of gun problems and gun violence. So anyway, I just wanted to explain to you guys what the reality is of what we're dealing with. I've lived in the neighborhood, in the building, in this part for 25 years. We've never had this kind of problem. So again, appreciate what you're trying to do, but from where we are right now as a community, locating that on the corner would just be, oh, and to your point, legal gets out illegal, but it attracts dealers. It doesn't, it may get out the illegal stores, it attracts drug dealers. It's a criminal, police department statistic. So while you are wanting to bring in people who want to use it, we're gonna see more drug dealers in an area that's already overrun.
Thank you, Lisa. Did you want?
Well, our board president is going to speak, and our general manager first.
Yeah, our board president is on Zoom. I appreciate it. We can speak. Our board president is Matthew Klein, and he's the president of London Terrace Towers. I'm their general manager. My name is Brendan Kane. We sent a letter in opposition to this. We've heard your presentation and we think your goals, many of them are laudable. That's not really the issue we have. The issue we have is that this particular location is a problem. And we had this discussion, I think back in January about this location. And we had the same amount of people or maybe more who were opposed to it. We have a groundswell of opposition. In addition, we have not heard from you. We're disappointed about that. We have not heard from you at all. We are the owners of the building that you are proposing to put a cannabis store in the ground floor of. And we heard about this for the first time from Jesse 7 days ago. We have not heard from you at all. And you posted notices on the windows. You have not reached out to our office, which is on site. We have heard nothing from you. And certainly, I think we're deserving of an explanation from you as to what it is that you plan there and so on and so forth. And I think that is paramount before this goes any further. And I think we deserve. We have tonight, Lloyd lives in the building. This gentleman lives in the building. These gentlemen live in the building. And none of us know what you're going to do there, what you're proposing, other than it's going to be a cannabis shop. And we have tremendous concerns. And you'll hear that from the 50 people who are on Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you,
Brendan.
Jim, I know we said we'd go to people in the room first, but you did mention Matthew Klein. Okay. So I was thinking his name is invoked, so.
Thanks all. I'm Matthew Klein. Thanks, Brendan. Well said. We went through this already a few months ago. It was already denied. I'm not even quite sure why it's being brought up again. The shareholders of the co-op are 100% against having a cannabis store on that corner. And it's just curious to me, and it was a great presentation. It felt very charitable, and you're going to reach out to all the community. Why you would not reach out to basically the building you're going to be in? You didn't even talk to anybody in the building you're gonna be in. And that's very curious to me, is what you might be hiding if you don't want the people above you, next to you, and beside you to know what you're doing there. Your owner of your space knows us very well. He could have given us your number. We're very receptive to talking to people. And I'd like to understand why, Amanda and the rest of your team, why you did not reach out to the building you were gonna be in at all. Not a single word. I had to hear from Jesse last Thursday that this was happening. So obviously you knew about this for a very long time, and you didn't even bother to talk to any shareholder or the board about what you're doing. Can you give me a response to that?
Yes, I can respond to that. So
Yes,
basically, we
please.
spoke with the landlord. I honestly, I don't have personal information how many board members are there, and we are very transparent. We are not hiding anything. We put the notice on the building. You have a notice. On
You see
doors.
that we're a building of hundreds of apartments. You've been here,
Yes.
I'm sure multiple times, right? You might have thought to yourself, maybe I should discuss something with the people living in this building. So don't tell me you put a piece of paper on a door or you spoke to the landlord. By the way, your landlord has not spoken to us either. So I'm really, I'm not sure of anything that you said is true at all, because you have not discussed this with anybody at London Terrace Towers building. Not at all, nothing. So
Like I said,
you
I'm
put a piece
here
of paper up. We have a management office on 24th Street. It's open to you. You could have knocked on the door. You could have went to Brendan. You could have reached out to us and talked to us. Instead, you're basically ambushing us at this meeting. And you see the people that are there, and it's not right. It's not right.
I'm here to introduce myself and my team, and I'm more than happy and open to talk about every single concern you have, sir. We did everything by the rules. We put the notice. We are here to introduce
Except talk to the people that you're going to be in the building.
So
with.
Matthew,
I don't care about the rules. You
Matthew,
can talk to the people you're going to be in the building.
Matthew, I'm going to ask you to tone it down only a little bit, because I understand we've been through this exercise about this location before, and so that makes us irate. But we also have to recognize the London Terrace structure is extremely complicated, and it is
Not really.
well.
Not really.
There's a lot of different.
It's not complicated.
There's a
And
lot
we
of different
take a lot of-
entities.
We take a lot of heat as a board here when things like this happen, and it's not complicated. They're in our building. Our building has an entrance. They know where the building is. So I'm sorry, Dolores. It's really not that complicated, but you can continue.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that we need to recognize that they clearly have not communicated with you.
Not at all.
So that is a concern. You've communicated, as well as your other neighbors have communicated very clearly your displeasure in not having any information about them. So we just wanted to, that's what you're stating. They don't have a response because they haven't done it. So we're going to just move on, because we have a lot of other people who want to speak.
I would like to just to say the last thing. We got the multiple emails from the neighbors, and we respond on every single one. In the last, I would say, 7 to 10 days, we got so many emails from the people who are living in that building and in community, and we answered on every single email we got.
You got emails from the gardens, not from the towers. You don't understand the difference between the two. Inga does not represent the towers. She represents the gardens. It's not even close to where your facility is. And you were talking to the wrong people.
Okay. Back to you. Back to. My name is Lloyd Van Praag. I'm a former board member. I just want to clarify, because the presentation was given here by these people, Elena, Allison, and Sam. I'm sorry, you're Sam. You're Michael.
Marco, yes.
Sam, you indicate you're the owner.
Yes.
Are there any other owners?
Right.
And your name, sir?
Don Albee.
I'm sorry?
Don Albee.
Okay. Are there any other owners? Okay. So, very quickly, so to clarify this for you, that city block has 7 buildings on the 23rd Street side, 7 buildings on the 24th Street side. The corner buildings, 405, where you're planning to put your store, that corner, 410 building at 410 West 24th on that corner of 24th and 9, and then going up to the other side, 10th Avenue. The two buildings on the corner there, 23rd and 10th, 465 West 23rd and 470 West 24th. Those four corner buildings are the co-op that go by London Terrace Towers Owners, Inc. Okay? The 5 intervening buildings on the 23rd Street side and the 24th Street side are the rental buildings separately owned and operated, known as London Terrace Gardens. Those are, I've seen your emails with the gardens, okay? They were all directed to the gardens, and people there forwarded them to me because I was very much involved with the previous applicant. Now, are you aware of what happened just 1 year ago, last December, January, with the previous cannabis applicant? You have no awareness. Okay. Also, I want to revisit a question that Rodney asked about the lottery number. Do you have a lottery number or you're waiting?
We're a card license holder, so we're justice involved individuals prioritized in the first round of licenses by the New York State program.
Then we have a license.
So we find them.
Yeah, you're prioritized.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, there are a few things that are different about your application that are quite notable and actually are disadvantageous to you. Okay, one is that there's this, I'm a lifelong Democrat, I'm a staunch progressive, and I believe in forgiveness. Okay? But the thing is, there's this, the previous applicant who's turned down solidly by the community, didn't have a drug criminal conviction, and he had to get the lottery number and go that route. So, it's odd that that somebody is given this special treatment, this favor in that process, which is.
So it's just to clarify, it's not just justice involved individuals, it's also veterans. And it's also, I believe, women.
Women,
Yeah. License group,
And yes, yeah, and it's, yes, so we're.
If they have the license, can we move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and anyway, whatever it is, in any event, okay, this is still to us a pot store, okay? If you know, the history of what, before there was a Capital One bank branch there, and prior to that, in 2007, it closed a Mexican restaurant, and on the very corner was a hardware store, closed in 2008. And then they combined those two units for the Capital One bank. Okay, so what you have is you have your own staircase that's self-contained in that unit. It connects to the street level. You have 6,000 square feet altogether, 3,600 square feet of street level, almost 2,400 square feet in the basement. A direct connection with that separate staircase. And for example, and there's a large men's room and women's room that used to be used for the Mexican restaurant. And there's a separate room that's the size of a very large bedroom that's very well ventilated with a large inflow and a large outflow vent that was used as the server computer room for the bank.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what we're.
Yeah, well, the user, because it morphed, when the restaurant was there, that morphed into a party space, a club.
Okay, so what's the concern? What are you trying to?
It's a large space, right?
Yeah,
It's a large
space. We did not believe last year's applicant that he was going to use, for example, all that's men's room, women's room, that with great ventilation was and sequestered behind the main shaft of the building where the elevators and staircases and trash chute are. So it's sort of sequestered behind there, and this room that's very well ventilated for the computers would be an ideal VIP lounge.
Sir, if I may speak to that, we can lose our license for on-site consumption.
Lloyd,
There's no way that on-site
Lloyd, I'm
consumption.
gonna
would
lose my
happen.
job here.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go around the room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry here is a resident of the building, and I think he wants to speak.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Henry Schlesinger and I live in the 405 building. Amanda in Florida, who did you send, what organizations did you see send emails to? Because we did not get one, and I want to put the size of the community in perspective, so we're very brief, because there's more than London Terrace Towers impacted. I'm gonna tell you who it is. There's Penn South across the street, directly across the street, 2,820 apartments, probably about 5,000 residents. Zipped. London Terrace Towers, we have 700 apartments approximately. The Gardens, 1,000 apartments. The Elliott and Chelsea houses, which are right in the neighborhood, NYCHA, 1,025 apartments. Fulton houses, 945. The total is 6,000 plus apartments, about 9,000 people. You ignored totally. I can't understand. You're talking about a church. We're not running a catering company here. This is a cannabis store. This is a building. When I read the security thing that you did one slide, but I've got 10 pages on security, but I'm not going to address that now. Who wrote it? Seriously, who wrote it? It's the day-to-day people that are in the store. You're running a cannabis shop, but the frill is the artwork, the pottery show, the reaching out. We really don't have to be reached out to. We're all adults. We're okay. We're really okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is David Stewart, I live in 405 with Henry. This is our home. I mean, I respect what you want to do. I work in Midtown East. I walk home, I walk to and from. I can tell the pot store went on a half a block away because it invariably attracts crowds that stand there. The applicant a year ago said, well, we're gonna have security guard, we're gonna clear the sidewalk. Well, you can't clear the sidewalk because it's public property. But it's right beside our front door. And I'll be honest, this might be selfish, but it will affect the value of the apartment. Because if I pulled up and saw a very nice cannabis store in a 20-story building, I would walk away and tell the broker, what the hell were you thinking? It's unacceptable. And I would also point out that in addition to the groups Henry mentioned, the 400 block, the West 400 block, that's talking about not wanting this on the 8th Avenue, the first applicant, they're closer to us. This is directly below my apartment. And it's just not something we want. It will attract the wrong people unintentionally, but it will attract the wrong people to a neighborhood that has enough of a problem. I would love to see that corner activated. I would even take the bank back, but not a possibility. Sorry.
Thank you. Next. Good. Anyone else in the room?
Okay, we got a lot of folks online.
Yeah, so again, as we said before, if you would like to speak, please put your virtual hand up. Now, so then we can see how many we got.
And I think, can I suggest that the BLP, when we have particularly contentious applicants, we often will say, if you have no new thoughts that haven't already been voiced, and perhaps you can just voice that you are in agreement with the previous comments. Just given time.
Thank you, Wendy. That's very helpful. And with apologies, I am getting off camera only because I need to charge the computer. So I'm not in violation, just getting a charger.
All right, bring over Sophia, Alan, Amanda, Michelle, Hassan.
Can you enlarge it?
You've been talking.
All
This
right,
is
Sophia?
This is Sophia and Daniel Weintraub. I'm an owner of a unit in London Terrace. So it's, again, we did just go through this recently. I mean, obviously there's more business lingo this time. It's
Mute. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Hello, sorry.
Yeah, Hassan, we can hear you, but you need
Hassan
to-
Reda, I was trying to talk. I'm sorry. I apologize for cutting someone off.
I know, okay.
so more business
May I
lingo.
speak now or no?
No, you can,
We'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
More business lingo this time, more polished than last time, but basically it's like putting lipstick on a pig, so to speak. So, and I didn't really appreciate the presenter kind of using a master's of public health in Columbia and trying to build this up as like some kind of wellness campaign in part. But since she did that, I'll say about my background. So I'm a professor of psychiatry at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Been a psychiatrist for 35 years. I conduct clinical research. And so I want to make some kind of statements that I think are irrefutable, which is one, that cannabis use is associated with certain psychiatric symptoms, including psychosis. So if people are going to be using cannabis, we can expect that there'll be more people with hallucinations and delusions wandering the neighborhood. Number
Sir, isn't
two,
that, just to ask a question, isn't that with minors who
I'd rather
consume
you,
cannabis?
I think
So
you
we're
got,
gonna just let the public
Yeah.
speak.
yeah,
Sure.
again, I'm not going to argue my scientific credentials against yours. The other thing is that cannabis is associated with other substance use, clearly, whether you want to call it a gateway drug or just that it's utilized with other substances that are more hardcore, that are problematic and criminal. Three is that it's associated with crime. That's been documented many times over, whether it's even petty crime or more violent crime. So, and then finally, the point to make is that this is a neighborhood that has a lot of access to public transportation. There's a bus line that runs on 23rd Street. There's a subway stop. So there's going to be a lot more people coming into this neighborhood and that don't live there. There's a lot of elderly people and children that live in these various establishments that you just heard about. It's only been 72 hours. As if we need a reminder about crime in this neighborhood, that somebody was just stabbed to death not far from here. So I think we could expect more of these kinds of behaviors. So, I mean, this is just like a ridiculous idea to me that anybody would be supportive of this in this location.
Thank you.
Would I be able to speak next?
Go ahead, Amanda, you're speaking.
Hi, I submitted a formal opposition by email, but I just want to say I live in 405 in 2B, which is directly above the store. In fact, directly above the entrance to the store would be my windows. I live there with my wife and my son. We spent a lot of time and energy trying to find the perfect location for our family to live. This is London Terrace. It's a historic residential building. I walk my son every day to PS 11. En route to bringing him to PS 11 every day, we see kids traveling to PS 33. Both of these schools are only about a block and a half, 2 blocks away. It's a residential neighborhood once you hit 9th and 23rd. We're concerned about crime. We're concerned about changes to the neighborhood. We're concerned about children and families both in the building and passing by the storefront every day. We're nervous about noise. We're nervous about, yes, you're saying that you have to keep people away from this particular location within 40 feet. I don't exactly know how that could be enforced. These are all concerns to both the health and safety of my neighbors and my family. And I would ask that you oppose and object to this particular application again, similarly to what would happen last year. So thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Michelle? You're still on mute, Michelle. There you go.
Okay. Yes, I'm Michelle Spinner, Vice President of the London Terrace Tenants Association, where the Gardens Tenants Association. I'm just going to second what everybody else has said. We are, all of us, as far as I know, opposed for many of the same reasons as everybody has mentioned, and also what we were opposed to, almost a year ago when this came up with a previous, request.
Thank you. Hassan? Can you unmute?
Come on, Hassan, you want to talk so bad.
We don't there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want to move on?
Alan?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm
I can.
I'm also a tenant in London Terrace, and I have
Oh.
three points to
No,
make.
no. Yeah, that's so cool. I don't know that it was ever cool. It got cool, I thought. Like it got like.
Thank you. Go ahead, Alan, sorry.
Yeah, the applicant claims that they'll be able to enforce the no loitering, no smoking within 40 feet, no loud music. With the prior applicant, we just heard that even the illegal dealing out of the deli, the police have not been able to enforce anything. So I don't see how a private company would be able to enforce those things either. Secondly, they claim that they will be helping the community. I don't believe that for a minute. That's just a cover to say, let us in here. They will not be doing anything for the community, and they will not be doing anything for the residents of London Terrace. And thirdly, I dislike the fact that we call these dispensaries as if there's some health objective behind these. These are simply pot shops, and we do not need this in this neighborhood. We do not need this in the building. We do not need this on my doorstep. And I oppose this to the extreme, and I want that to be considered by the task force.
Thank you, Alan. Hassan, we'll try again. Are you able to unmute?
Hi, can you hear me?
There you
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but there's a lot of
Sorry,
background
sorry, so
noise.
sorry. I'm at a work event and I'm trying to have this conversation, and I apologize. I just want to address the board. I've been in these meetings before. I have went through the process of explaining myself in detail, and sometimes the board has a decision already made in their mind before the meeting happens. I just want to share that on 21st and 8th, where my children go to school, there's drug dealing in the deli. The cops yesterday explained to us on the block association meeting how to get away with it, and I'll share with the team now. Since drug dealing is a crime, however, if you're in a store, and it's upon the store owner to report drug dealing inside the store. Since no one reports drug dealing, that's why it gets away, because the store owner probably makes a little kickback on the sales. Fine. That's what it is. On 21st Street, that's the law. But to put a weed shop by PS 11 is outright egregious. These are children. There's already a high crime area. There's a stabbing 2 blocks away on 19th and 8th. If the board approves a weed shop on 21st and 8th, just know you are the problem. You are the problem if you approve it. I tried my best to stop the approval of 22nd Street, where I live, for 43 years. I've lived in my entire life. I'm a New Yorker through and through. The blocks that are on our block are an absolute disaster. They're filled with garbage and homeless and shenanigans. At this point, the board has to realize progressive agendas have to stop and 90s liberal agendas have to take over. If you're from here in the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. The old folks who've been complaining know what I'm talking about. I'm only 43, but I'm an old heart. Stop the bullshit and just cut it out. There's no need for a weed shop next to PS 11 where children go to school when there's a deli that has an active drug sale every day. I just hope the board members understand what I'm saying. You have the power to stop it. Please stop the school from having another weed shop when there's an illegal weed shop and fentanyl shop, for all we know, on 21st and 8th. Have the courage to say no. Please have the courage.
Hassan, thank you. Thank you for those comments. I just wanted to let you know that community boards are advisory only. And while we are advisory, we do make recommendations for denying when we recognize things are not appropriate for our committee or our community. But most importantly, as you've seen in this process, this rollout from OCM, there has been a lot of irregularities in that process. And unfortunately, a lot of times where we have voiced a very strong opinion against opening an establishment, we see that they get approval as well. So I just want to let you know, we try
Okay,
our best.
fair.
We are your neighbors.
To be honest, I thought the block association meeting yesterday said you could stop it. So that's a miscommunication.
Yeah,
But please,
and
please
trust
understand
me,
that
if we
a
had that
school shouldn't have a weed
opportunity,
shop.
If we had that opportunity to have that much power, we'd probably all have a stronger and better neighborhood at this time. But we appreciate you
Okay.
taking the time from your work event
Thank you.
to express that. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying. I did not realize, because the block association thought that you had the power to stop it. And so I wanted to make sure my opinion. So
I
it's
appreciate that.
communication. You know what I mean? Like, I just need to, I need you all to realize that Chelsea is falling and we together live there. We have to unite our feelings together. I don't care about the weed shops, and we just have to unite as a residency, as one team, one dream. We're one team, one dream. We want safety, period. So
Thank you.
please recommend against the weed shop near the elementary school, please. Thank you.
Hassan.
Thank you very much.
Ellis?
Hi, so I am not a resident in your wonderful towers, but I do own the closest weed store to this licensed weed store. So I actually have a bit of an interesting perspective on this. First of all, you're also adorable. I love how much you care about your community. If you could hear yourself speak, you probably cringe a little bit because it's really sickening how much you love your towers. But I do have kind of one piece of curiosity, which is, how do you expect to fund the enforcement of all this illegal drug dealing and crime that's happening in your neighborhood if you're not willing to approve businesses that are going to generate, the commerce and tax revenue that pays for these things? My store has personally kicked back over $700,000 to the local community board since opening in January, and that money is specifically earmarked for things like
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you
education.
for a second. I just wanted to just make sure, because this is recorded in
Yeah.
public, money does not go to a community board. We are an agency.
It does go back to the local community, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Just want to make
Yes.
sure that no money's going to the board.
3% of my taxes go back to the local community.
Thank you.
So it's a little bit silly that you talk about not in my backyard, but you don't want to actually approve the things that finance your backyard being well kept. It's actually extremely interesting. It's like books and books can be written about this. The illegal drug dealing gets stopped when you have someone with a vested interest in reporting that illegal drug dealing happening. I personally have gone and closed over a dozen unlicensed weed stores near and around my store. And I would expect that any sane business owner would do the same, right? Like, if you want to get rid of the fentanyl dealing, then why not sell like what some people consider to genuinely be their medicine? And if you talk about having a lot of seniors or children in your building, what I hear is people with arthritis pain and stressed out parents that need things to chill out. So you should all just, take some relaxation, take a deep breath. If you're still stressed out this meeting, I implore you to come to Verde Cannabis on 23rd and 7th. We're not located in your towers. So it's a great place to get everything you need. And to the prospective licensees, good luck, because I've been there and I know it's extremely stressful trying to get open.
Thank you, Ellis.
Thank you.
Angelique?
Oh my God, I have to follow that.
It's okay. We can, everyone's view is accepted, so that's fine.
Okay, I'm a longtime resident, and I live right across the street. I'm at 410 West 23rd Street. And I did submit a formal statement of dissent earlier. Some of it I'd like to read, because my concern is, I have two concerns. One is the safety, and second is the oversaturation of these cannabis shops in this neighborhood, which I think on 23rd Street, we already have maybe 4 or 5. And every time I look, there's a new cannabis shop. Can you hear me?
Yes, those are just illegal stores. We just wanted to make sure to clarify that those are illegal, not licensed dispensaries, and
This should be closed.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let
Okay,
Angelique
yeah, but-
continue, but just to let you know that for the majority of the public, they don't know the difference. And so
Right.
that is part
Right.
of the problem that we're all
Right.
experiencing. Go ahead, Angelique.
Right.
Please continue.
Because every time I look around, there's a new shop opening. So in my mind, we're being oversaturated And is cannabis the only business in town? I mean, we had this discussion 11 months ago, last January, and I thought it was already determined that the space was not appropriate for a cannabis shop. So I don't know why we're bringing it up again, or why even their application was even accepted to be reviewed. So, but that's one thing. Anyway, I want to read just a little bit from my statement that I submitted. I said, the prospect of 219 9th Avenue storefront is a huge space. Promising to be a pretty large superstore is a little frightening, driving more traffic to this location. I live in the 410 West 23rd Street building, which does not have a doorman. We have the only accessible stoop where non-residents, tourists, and vagrants find the opportunity to loiter, smoke, rest, sit, hold a picnic, hang out, and sleep. Twice I had to call the police to remove someone camping out and sleeping in our vestibule. Once a man rushed in behind me, but I caught him out of the corner of my eye as I went up the steps. And fortunately, I made a swift move to exit before I put my key in the door. I try to always check behind me and be aware of the space around me. Other times I've had to ask the male staff from Chelsea Square or Moonstruck Diner when it was there to walk me home safely due to someone hanging out late at night barring the door. My concern is that more traffic will be drawn to this neighborhood by that business, inviting increased incidents of loitering forced upon us residents. Concerning is that the applicants do not live in the neighborhood and not caring about me and my neighbors.
Thank you, Angelique.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
John Carroll, are you able to unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Sorry, just pulling this up. Yeah, so I thought the presentation.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, I moved John over, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, so John, if you can hear us, we accidentally moved you over. We'll bring you back in a moment. In the meantime, we're gonna go to Inga.
Evening, good
Yep.
evening. I missed early on in the meeting. I had another meeting I had to attend, so I'm just going to make it brief. We did send in a letter with a long list of reasons similar to the last applicant. I know that the 400 West 23rd Street, 22nd, 21st, that block association also sent a letter in. So the woman that was just speaking, your block association also sent a letter in to oppose it on 23rd Street. No one has mentioned the Greek church that is kitty corner to this location. No one has mentioned Holy Apostle Soup Kitchen, which is 2 blocks away from us. It's right down the street. It is the largest soup kitchen in the country. They have daily meals. They have a lot of people from all over the city. Some of them take drugs, some don't. We don't need more. We have a problem with drug use and drug sales on the block of 24th and 25th. On 9th Avenue, we have our own homeless people that live on the block. We all know them. We see them at a certain time of month when they are selling their own medication, their prescription medication. There is nothing the police can do for any of this. The security plan is not sufficient. This is a very, very residential street, very residential. This is not a good location. This is a mega store, a mega space. It will morph into something else. If any of you know the Club Oak, it was also thought that, yes, this big space would be okay. It is in a residential area. It caused problems for years. It morphed into something that was unintended consequences, basically. They're still having problems with it. Different owners, different users. The space for this cannabis shop is just too big. There will be other things they're gonna wanna add. We don't know what they are now. Things change. It's just too big. It's such a residential area. We have PS 33, we have the Greek church, we have Holy Apostles. We have just last week across the street from us, next to the woman that just spoke, there was a break-in or attempted break-in at the, I think it's MedRite or City MD, forget the name, it's MedRite, one of the other. They smashed the front windows. Literally across the street from where this shop's supposed to be, we've had so much crime and undesirable people in our neighborhood. We don't need to attract more. This space is too big. It will morph into something we just don't know yet. I'm gonna let you, I know everybody said everything else. It's just a mega store. It's like putting a casino in our.
Thank you, Inga. John, we're gonna try that again. Sorry about cutting you off before.
No problem. Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
It was us. It wasn't you.
Sure, all good. So no, I was just saying it was a glossy presentation, said all the right buzzwords, even had a community member on their side. But I mean, cutting through all this, like, do we really need a weed shop right below it? I live in 405, and they could say no loitering, but who really thinks that's going to be enforced? Like, our real laws aren't being enforced in the city. So I just find that very hard to actually believe that that will play out as they say. The 40 feet away from the building, like, who's really going to enforce that stuff? And they keep saying it's legal, and I know there's some distinction, but weed is illegal on a federal level, I believe, still. So I think there's definitely at least a gray area, if not a black and white. But in terms of also just the presenters, they did a good job, I thought, but they had some people speak on their behalf. I'd be curious to know if any of them serve an advisory role or any economic interest in the company, or if they're just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. But I think people have said a lot of the points that I was going to make, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, John. Miguel?
I'm also opposed to it because location. Most of the shootings that we have had, it's literally 1 block away on 25th Street and 9th Avenue. And these people haven't even mentioned, have they reached out to myself, the TA president of Fulton Houses, or Darlene Waters, the TA president of Elliott Chelsea, or even Ken Jockers from the Hudson Guild. These are the people that are closest to you who have the biggest fear of crime coming to this community. So I totally oppose this. Hopefully the board decides with everyone that's been opposed to this. Thank you.
Thanks, Miguel. Jesse, did we get everyone?
No, we have a few more, but I just
Oh,
want
I
to do a
see
time
that.
check.
I thought you brought more.
No, we have 4 more. I was just gonna do a time check. We're at 8:48. We still have to discuss this topic. The task force does have an old business item that if we choose to, need to discuss that. I would just ask, Rodney brought up at the beginning of this as a 1-minute time limit on testimony. And I would just say, obviously, I think if you are repeating something that has already been said, you can just say, I am, I support the previous speaker on this. I really implore you guys to try to be as concise as possible.
Okay.
I think we have Alan's still on, unless I'm mistaken, unless Alan already spoke.
Alan spoke.
Oh, Alan spoke. Okay, so yeah, we have 5 more people in the list. Give me 1 second, get this clear.
Might do a timer.
Yeah.
With a loud alarm.
Turn it up.
Unless there's a dispute amongst the task force, I have 6 people left. That's what I'm gonna call it at.
Yep.
Okay, yep. Right to the floor.
Okay, so let's start. I see Philip. You can unmute.
Am I unmuted now?
You are, hi.
Yes.
Nope, you just muted back. Go ahead.
Just want to echo what the other speakers have said. My opposition is absolute. I've been a resident of this neighborhood for 40 years. This neighborhood and this specific block is intensely residential. And this is too large of a retail establishment. It will bring in too much traffic, and I don't want to see it.
Thank you, Philip. Okay, people are moving out of order, so I'll go out of order. Sorry, Sandra?
I just really want to reiterate whatever, other people have said. Our Black Association is right across the street from this particular location. I think that clearly the potential owners or people running the space have not spoken to the people who are actually going to be in their building, sufficiently to make any kind of real judgment. And again, like everybody else, we had this whole same discussion about 9 months ago. And this group, as that group actually, they seemed like, reasonable people as far as, having the ability to run this kind of organization. But the reality is that it's location, location, location.
Thank you, Sandra. Robert?
Thank you very much. I'll keep this short. First of all, I have to say that I'm very disappointed that we are going through this whole exercise again after having just done it, less than 6 months ago, where Community Board 4, everybody, the overwhelming majority of people objected to this, the location of this business. It's entirely inappropriate. I don't know if you've ever visited our block, but it is completely residential. It's actually a lovely block with mature trees. It's having an anchor at the corner of 23rd and 9th of a weed dispensary is so inappropriate with all the families. And I live in the building in which the business will be located. And I can tell you that I'm extremely concerned about the security. It's a 2-level space. And in the basement, there's a doorway that goes, leads out.
Sorry, Robert, we're trying to just,
Yeah, sorry,
so if you could just wrap
Can
up.
you wrap it up?
Okay. I am so against this. And I can't believe that we're going through this whole exercise again. I'm so exasperated and furious and at the end of my rope about this. It is so inappropriate, and we will fight it until the end. It will not work. Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Just before we go to the next person, I just wanted to make a comment. A lot of folks are surprised that we're going through this exercise again. This is whoever has control of that space is having conversations with potential businesses. That's how that happens. So just wanted to make sure people are aware that it's not the board that is bringing some type of applicant to the location. This is somebody applied, someone had a space. That's how that happened. So just making sure people know that it's not the board that's bringing a new applicant to the location. James?
Yes, I just want to say that I agree with all of the previous opponents and would like to mention that on their application, they answered a question with respect to parks, that the parks were not applicable, but anyone familiar with the area knows that there are several parks located within the area, one down at Penn South, another park down at near the school, a lot of different parks there, which certainly will have an impact.
Thank you, James. Jason?
Hi, yeah. I live at 405. I would like to reiterate what everyone has already said. I just think it's proximity. We already have a legal weed dispensary 2 blocks away. And I don't think that anyone is in need of another legal outlet. Everybody I know that uses has a source already, and I don't think we want to attract a grand scale tourism of this nature to this neighborhood. I would go elsewhere myself. It's like I just don't see the need for it when I can. It's a short walk away to 7th Avenue as it is. Thanks for your time. I appreciate the presentation, but I would oppose it, of course.
Thank you, Jason. Kyra, I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
That's okay. I just wanted to note that I concur with the opposition and also wanted to express concern for the smell around the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyra. Okay, so we had cut off comments, so that's all the comments that we're taking. Now, back to the task force. So, just as we had months ago, heard a lot of opposition, specifically from folks that live directly above this proposed location, and citing mainly the location and the size of this particular space that they do not agree with. So just wondering what we're thinking as a task force. Anyone have a point of view? Wendy? Oh, no, Wendy's pointing.
Sanford.
Hi, Sanford.
I think this was a very strong presentation. I mean, truly, maybe the strongest we've seen. We've seen a lot of them.
Thank you.
Definitely one of the strongest. You addressed like pretty much all the concerns we regularly hit on around security. Obviously, very detailed security plan. I did not read the whole thing, but all the parts I looked at were very detailed. About minors, you're clearly very serious about that. About crowding, obviously you can fully control the sidewalk, no one can, but clearly have a plan and an intention to do everything within your power, make sure the sidewalk is clear. And you're also clearly very well educated about the regulations. Again, there's a huge range of how educated applicants are about the regulations, but you guys are clearly, you've both done it before in practice and you have a strong knowledge of like the legal and regulatory aspects as well. So I hear like the concerns of the many people who've shown up and come to speak today, and I hear them, but I also hear we do kind of hear the stuff at this is more people to be sure than we hear at an average location, but it is similar concerns to what we often hear. And truth be told, I didn't hear anything that really struck me as like truly like that unique to this location. It is residential, but much of the district is residential. And I think, I mean, in terms of the deli, and I think that's that's would be very disturbing to me if I lived on that block. As certain years in the district, but I do think having an applicant is a very motivated person to close down that activity. May not succeed. Well, police are trying, they haven't been succeeding, but if anybody's going to call 311 every day and like take that on and do their very best, everything within their power legally to stop it. This applicant, I think, will be those people. And yeah, so again, I really hear the concerns, but I do find it hard to say like there's something different about here that really makes it a place that we should reject.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I agree. I thought the presentation was really well thought out. I also feel that you're at a disadvantage. The same thing happened to the last applicant. Whoever the landlord is, he's not allowing you to speak or reach out. So you're at a disadvantage. You come in and these people feel ambushed. You've not had a chance to connect. So I'm concerned. The tension for me is you are a good applicant, but I'm a part of the community. I've heard the community. I have to take that even when there's I guess equal balance. I tend to go with the community. So I mean, I think you'd be great somewhere else. Again, the thing that came to mind was the aesthetics of the building. How do you honor that, support that? I again agree with Sanford, great presentation. You came across sincere. I just, the tension is there for me. How do we move you along? But we've heard from the community. So
I would echo that. Fantastic presentation, and I would agree, probably the best that at least I've seen. Also recognize when we hear from the community, that's just tough. Obviously, there's the location issue, so this goes back to the same issue we were having with the previous for applicant. You just can't do anything about the location, and so, you know, you have heard, obviously, the concerns about the neighborhood overall. They're not specific to this corner or this block, it's a neighborhood issue, unfortunately, that we're all just dealing with. I think the second part, though, was the idea of being ambushed and not having that connection and communication with the tenants, and so that, in terms of like where my head is at, it is unfortunately, like, I can't support this because of all of the community. You know, just community's opinions and thoughts. But I would also recognize that there's an opportunity to potentially connect with them. And so I think that would be the other option, would be to postpone and see what progress could be made in a month. Also, we hear nothing could be said. There's nothing that could be done that would say that they feel comfortable with this establishment in this space. But that would be just the other thought that's in my mind, unfortunately. It's just, you're in a tough spot for this location.
Wendy, would you make that a motion
No,
to postpone?
Rob, other folks here in the room, task force members want to speak, but then let's go.
Oh, yeah. To be short, I echo what Wendy has said. I think you need to meet with the community. At this point, I'd have to, and you all did present a wonderful presentation, so thank you. But my hands are tied.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that, you know, this is backwards. Unfortunately, perhaps you weren't advised properly somehow to do the outreach first. I don't think doing that now is going to change anything in the minds of these folks. So I think it's just a matter of, you know, cutting losses, so to speak. We have a great operation. I think we do some wonderful work in the neighborhood and everything else that your outreach. But we've been through this. I don't think these folks, you're certainly welcome to do that, but I don't see anything really changing that.
Yeah, I agree with, sorry, I agree with Alan. I do not think that postponing is going to help. We have heard very clearly opposition from the community. I just wanted to note that previously when there was an applicant for this location, I was not chairing the task force, and I very strongly backed the community voice. I think that's extreme, and I think that's very important. I think the lesson here is not for the applicant, is not for us. The lesson here is for this landlord to understand that they continue to look to put in a type of use that is not compatible with the residents that live above that space. And I think that's unfortunate, because I agree there's a potential here for a caring advocate for this industry that could be helpful, but the community does not want it here. And so, having heard that, I appreciate the idea of postponing, but I'm hearing a very strong voice from the community that I don't think is going to change after having some additional contact. That's just what I'm feeling. So I just wanted to know at this point, Raul, I didn't know if you were trying to make a motion.
No, I was asking Wendy and I guess Tina if they wanted to put that as a motion to postpone so that they have an opportunity to talk. I would be willing to put that motion or second it. I just feel like that they haven't had a chance to talk, the community with the applicant. They were ambushed. Whether it will help or not, I don't know. But delaying it 30 days, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Can I just remind folks that we went through this with the first applicant where they agreed to postpone. There was an additional 30 days. They did do a series of meetings, I think very detailed meetings with all parties, and then we ended up in the same place, which was that both the owners and the rental portions of that building in the surrounding neighborhoods did not want that use in the location. So I just want to remind us all where we've done this before. Not to say that
Thanks for the
it would not
reminder.
be a different outcome, but I just want us to be aware.
I mean.
Thanks for the
hearing what-
reminder, Jesse.
Sorry, hearing what I just heard, I think I would be doing you a disservice if I did postpone.
It's just, I'm so sorry, I know there's a procedure to this, but in Astoria, we were instrumental in closing about 19 illegal cannabis stores within 2 blocks of our licensed dispensary. We go to no, there's 3 in this, there's 3 in Astoria. The point is.
I appreciate that, but let's do our business. So I think we're at a point where you guys have to make a decision.
Yep, so Tina, were you leaning towards making a motion or,
I guess I'll just throw it out there, and I'm sorry to do this, I really am. But I truly think I'd be doing you a disservice if I don't do a motion to deny or whatever needs to be done at this time.
You're making a motion to recommend denial.
Right.
I would unfortunately second that
All
motion.
right, so we have a second.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to deny the application. And again, I can't see everyone in the room, so Jesse, I'm gonna rely on you. All those in favor?
Or online, Raul, are you voting? You're not voting on this, I'm sorry.
In favor of a denial, so.
Yeah, this is voting for the motion, which is in favor, and Raul's not raising his hand because he's not voting that way.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those opposed? And no one's present, not eligible, because I think I saw everybody in the room. And Jesse, last time, I think we might have had a split vote on it, but we're close to it at one point.
No, well, we don't have a split vote tonight. The yeas, the motion passes.
Okay, so, you know, we appreciate what you're trying to do. We appreciate what you're trying to do in the industry. It's just, we've heard very, very strongly a united front from community members, not from this task force specifically, that the location does not work. We are sure that you'll have an opportunity to find some other location and be able to continue to do the work that you're doing. And we wish you best of luck in Astoria. And with other projects that you may be working on. So thank you for coming in person and thank you for presenting.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, we'll give it just a minute because we do have another item.
Do all of that outside. Okay.
Yep, we're gonna give it just a minute for folks to get down the hall.
Yeah, give us a couple of minutes, but you need to clear the room.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Can everybody take their conversation outside? Can we take the conversation outside? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
New business? Yeah, do you want me to take this old business?
Yep.
Floors?
Yep, so this is, yep, go ahead.
Need to shut the doors. Oh, thank you guys. All right, so why this is on old business is to give a quick summary. You guys approved this last month, if you remember, with the stipulations that they needed to clarify a couple things on the applications before we were gonna get it out of full board. I was hounding them. This is the one that was opening up literally like and then 2
On
days
Thursday,
after
the
the
Thursday
first.
after the meeting, right? They
Yeah,
open up on Halloween.
Thursday after the meeting.
On Halloween, yeah.
So, yeah, on Halloween. So my understanding, Dolores, they have open, is that correct? I think you walked by, they're open? Yeah, okay.
It looked like it was a pot shop.
Okay, so,
Not a dispensary, a pot shop.
yeah, come on. No problem. So I was hounding them to get this response, that they get their information to us so we could vote. The Friday before the full board, they let us know that the reason why they telling us about the change, updating their hours was because in their conversations with OCM, the day before was that OCM basically said that they could stay open till 2 AM. Which is a lot different than what they said on the meeting, in the meeting, and a lot different than what they wrote on the application. I read the legislation. It's not a key, it's a code, it's right here. So Dolores and I decided, I read the legislation. The legislation reads very funky. It basically says, it's allowed. It just says the hours that we can't sell cannabis is 2 AM to 8 AM or 10 AM. So technically what that would mean, reversing that logic, they can sell till 2 AM. I believe they're currently choosing to do so. We can certainly confirm that. I think we should, by going by there and looking what their hours of operation are. But so if you remember, we pulled the letter, said it was going back to committee. Why I just wanted to start this conversation, we don't have to make a decision right now because it's already open. But I do think this is clearly allowable. And I do think if OCM is seemingly comfortable with this, I do think, one, I don't know if you want to write an administrative letter about this specific location, because they did make commitments and certain things about hours in the meeting. Our official time of review is kind of over, it's already open, I mean, it is what it is, I'm not gonna tell you that administrative letter is gonna close these guys down, but at least we're on record to saying that from our perspective, that's, we don't think this is right, but I do think maybe it warrants a conversation. I know we haven't gotten into general guidelines and policies about stuff, similar to BLP has a set of things about rear yards and things like that, and they have recommendations for hours. We've sort of stayed away from that because OCM has been so conservative, really like making people close at 10, we haven't had any super late hours, but I just wanted to raise this point to say that maybe at this point, going forward, we might want to think about what do we say if an applicant comes to us and said they want to stay to open until 2 AM? And I will just say my personal opinion, liquor stores I don't believe liquor stores have that privilege. And I think you are going into a new territory. While of course it's not going to be a consumption lounge, but who's buying weed at 1 o'clock in the morning or, past 12 AM in the morning? It is certainly, I think, just that we're maybe talking about a different, concept of what kind of business is going on, and do we want that business? Would we want liquor stores open that late, that kind of thing? Again, I'm not saying we don't.
Yeah, so Jesse, I think that thinking about those type of guidelines that we want as a community that warrants a full agenda item, perhaps when we don't have that many applications coming, because that's something that's very important. But I do think, in my opinion, that it is important that we at least write an administrative letter, because they represented that they would be operating a specific set of hours. And because it's allowable by how they interpreted the regulation, they just decided to change their hours of operation because it benefited them. And that is not in the spirit that they represented how they wanted to work with the community. I think that also could be combined. You didn't bring it up, but the location on 9th Avenue and 56th Street, for those of you, you might recall, we had a very we'll call it contentious conversation with an applicant named Jerry. I don't know if you recall, he wanted to open location. A lot of the block associations were opposed to it. He has already opened. At the moment, it's been reported that there's music being played by speakers outside of his area. The signage that he has up looks a little neon-y. Those are some issues.
It's not a little, I live there, right near there, I walk my dog there, it's not a little bit.
This is Jerry Lynn, this is 56th and 9th.
Pretty bright.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will check on the music. I mean,
Is that Cannabis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that's near you too?
Yeah, well, I moved, but it used to be, yeah, I would say the sign is something to be desired.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think that an administrative letter just stating that, one, we're concerned about once operators have received their ability to open, that they're either changing their hours or they are pushing the envelope on signage and other things that are allowable. And we'd like to have OCM be able to help the community enforce whatever was agreed upon, whatever their regulations are, et cetera, something to that effect. I mean, I don't know, Jesse, if you think it makes sense to combine those comments, but I do think it's important, at least for what we have, as you put on here for 743 9th Avenue, to at least comment that they represented to the community, they'd operate a certain set of hours, and they just conveniently changed it because they could.
I think I agree with you about the 743, because I think it's just, we need to be on record. If people come to us and say, how did this happen? And we want to say, we did not agree with that, and this, we did everything we could to sort of curtail that. And, I don't think it's gonna personally change their behavior, their model or their business plan, but, because they know that they basically got the license and they're open already, but I do think we should be on record. I think the other
OCM's like, just so I understand, like, with like a liquor license, you have to get reviewed every so often, and like, I guess if you don't do something flagrant, but like, do something that's not quite what you're supposed to be doing, typically that'll come up at your next meeting. And so I think that's probably the strongest disincentive to not, push the rules. For cannabis, what's the equivalent? Like, are these licenses gonna be renewed, or does OCM have like a, gives you a citation? Like, what's the
Yeah, so that
what's the slap on the wrist?
Yeah, that's a great question that deserves more research. I'll tell you that the final approval, it's so different from SLA. The final approval is not a public process, so we can't even be present when they get approved like SLA. Like, there's a hearing and send somebody. I couldn't, if we voted, let's just say we voted the opposite way today on one of these things, and then we can, SLA at BLP, you can always say, well, you have the option of going to the SLA hearing. There's not that thing. So in terms of a renewal, I would only assume it's even less, it's even more less than. And it's just like some sort of paperwork that just says happens, because the renewals for SLA licenses happen every 2 years, but unless like the applicant is doing something significantly egregious and illegal, would the SLA ever actually revoke
And I don't think that's what we're asking for.
No, but
I think there should be some
No, but
process for like,
we're
you get a
in the-
citation, if you get 3 citations, there's some.
We're in
further
the new world,
escalation.
we're in the new world of dispensaries running in our district, and we're having one that is not being run, seemingly as reported, not being run following the rules. The music thing, if the music thing is true, that is not with OCM at all, that is a straight up noise law, and that's like cops going there and closing this, telling them to shut down. So, but we certainly should let OCM know if we do some due diligence on that. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't wanna jump ahead. The admin letter, if we're all fine with an admin letter, let's see.
With the hours.
About the hours, simply about the hours. I don't wanna get us into other worlds
Okay,
here at this point.
that's good.
But, so we can move ahead with that. I will just add, and I agree with you, Dolores, I'm not trying to start this conversation, have the whole conversation tonight about guidelines. I just felt like there's something we might need to start thinking about, because I don't know if we're comfortable approving at 2 AM for a dispensary. The other one I just wanna highlight that we know that is clearly starting to happen is, OCM has in their process somewhere that applicants can begin to request for a lifting of the 1,000-foot if, you know, if they're within a certain threshold or something. And so I suspect we might be seeing more of those, and I think, again, that's the kind of thing I think we need to think about. I'm not trying to say there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just saying, if we wanna say 1,000 feet, that's it, that's what, that's what the rule is. Or if we need to start thinking about when we get those, because I suspect we will begin to get those, and what are we saying? So, for a conversation for another time, but I do think we get one about.
Okay, I was on Fifth Avenue, between 23rd and 21st, there's two dispensaries there.
Legal dispensary.
Legal. Yeah, so, but I wanted to bring something else quickly. This thing with outreach to, communities. It seems like it's happening more. So we ask folks that the only time you come to ask for is if you have control over the space. Does OCN require or suggest a certain level of communication to the community?
No.
They defer to the municipality, and we are the municipality.
So in your letters to them, as you said, you know, reach out. Can we be a little bit stronger about that? Can we say to them, if, you know, you haven't made any research, outreach, I'm sorry, you're not coming to a meeting? Or we obligated no matter what?
The difficulty is, one, as folks that are once on BLP or on BLP knows, you're under a time limit. I mean,
Right.
with SLA, it's different. They haven't applied to the SLA yet. Here, they've already applied, right? Most of the folks who are talking about have a card license, right, or have already applied and they're in the pipeline. And then they get confirmation of their location. Then they get the lease, and that's when OCM says, now go talk to the community. And so at that time, it's already happening, and so we don't have that much leg room, we don't have that much space to negotiate at that. I will just say about this is, and I think Wendy knows about this, I forget how long you've been on, this London Terrace thing, Dolores is correct. It is complicated, because it's gone both ways at BLP, where the condo board, the owners have presented and have signed a deal and presented it on a liquor license location, and the rental tenants have all come out in force saying, we never knew about it, we didn't like it, we don't want this, right? And so now we're having kind of not the flip, not to say the rental tenants love this too, but this communication is complicated in that specific set of buildings. And it always has been.
Yeah, right.
And so, but I will say that particular condo, the particular commercial net, has literally refuses to speak with the rest of the. This, as reported, let me say this back, as reported by me, by the owners, by the condo, by the co-op board, condo boards, commercial folks, that particular owner, they're all separate. And that particular owner has done, because he's done this twice now, does not communicate. And and you're right, I'm sure what he's telling to the tenant is everything is fine.
Right.
Yeah, and so then they come and then they get slammed, and it's not fair. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's the board's responsibility or our way of doing it. I will be more strong.
Like a standard, like, if you're, this doesn't get that right. If we see an application, and I'm sorry, this is formal, if you see an application that's in the vicinity of London Terrace, just like some standard language, like, here's the you know, a paragraph of like, here's the different groups, here's the contact info for each. I do that probably use BFP too.
No, I mean, that's what we did. We sent out a block association list.
Okay.
So I mean,
you get it?
Jesse, my
I will
only
say-
suggestion would be is perhaps your lead in when you're writing to folks what they would need to do, like the postings, et cetera, saying community conversation, community communication is key and important to having any opportunity for success, and start with that.
I'm happy to do all of that, and I will do that. It's no weight on my shoulders at all. And so we can keep on doing that. I do think a couple things that I think we're gonna run into that we just have to be prepared for. As you can tell, if you notice it being on doing this for the last 2 years or however long we've been doing it, is we're not dealing with the same level of let's say seasoned business folks that BLP does. BLP sees the same 10 or 12 lawyers every month, because these guys know who they have to hire. They hire one of these lawyers who does all of the work, right? And gets them through it. This is an industry that has yet to find that connection. There's a couple lawyers out there, we've seen a couple of them actually. But they don't know, so many, like, the first agenda item we talked about, he said, I didn't know what to write. I was like, how many more times do I have to say, right? There's no question when you talk to BLP, oh yeah, we'll get that figured out. And the other issue is, so that's one part of it. The other issue is that I'm hesitant sometimes to get ahead of ourselves, because we've been down this road with so many applicants who say, oh yeah, here's my 30-day notice, here's my form, filled it all out. And then when I say, okay, now it's time to go do this, or like a week out, they say, oh no, I lost the control of the space. And it happens, they lost control of the space, or their backing fell out, or they decided to go with someone else, and then we've gotten a whole people riled up, or whatever. So I try to find this middle ground of where, yes, I can really say that these people are really gonna show up. And they filled out the forms, and sometimes it's down to a week. Like these guys, the 219, didn't fill out the application until like a week before this and that. They knew that they needed to do it.
So here's a thought.
Hold on, Dolores Allen was.
Oh, sorry, Alan, go ahead.
The application that we use, is that a standard application that can we edit it somewhere?
Oh, yeah, we can edit it. Yeah, we can change anything. If you want to put some stronger language at the front of it, I'm happy to show you guys what I sent out. I'll send everything to you guys. It's not that much, but it's, I have two basically responses. I got your 30-day notice. Here's what you're gonna have to do. And this is what it is. And then it's like, the second one is once they filled out the application, that's when I can also feel confident, because that means they uploaded the lease and they uploaded the security plan. So lots of times I'll get the 30-day and they won't fill out the application for weeks, and I'll be like, what am I gonna do, bring that to you guys, and you're gonna have nothing to look at. So I don't like to do that, but I'm happy to show you all of it. Anyway, sorry, go on, Dolores.
No, my suggestion was to make it easier on you, is perhaps these things are on our website and your email simply says, please check our website for the protocol.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I have yet to do that, and I can certainly do that. I had this false sense of security that there was this, because we had a lull, and I was like, oh, done. And now it's like, nope.
All right,
Jesse, I
well,
think if you could send that stuff over to us, and I think in the same vein of like us starting to think through some of this enforcement stuff and just like this next, like the maturation process that's naturally happening. I think the same is true for just like the communications we have, so maybe we'll send it out, and maybe it's like a holiday break thing that we can all kind of noodle on and figure out like, okay, where are some tweaks that we can make, because we're now hearing, we've heard where we're getting tripped up, and maybe there's some stuff we can do just to help streamline.
That's a good, that's not really change the content, but change like maybe the ordering, how we phrase it, just to.
I have no.
This is the important part.
I have no dog in this fight. It's simply because I was, we're literally creating the system.
Totally, yeah.
We're using the BLP system to a point because we have it and it works, but there's so many different components that are separate, that are different than the BLP, so it's like.
We've learned a lot more now too, so I think it's just different how you approach it.
But I think along with that though, I do think at some point, if we can dedicate some time to think about how you guys wanna, because I do think we need to have some a backstop to some $1,000 rule changes that they do come to us, and then also hours.
Yeah, I think that it would be good if the task force makes recommendations and the full board then can vote on it and we can solidify it. Okay, do we have any other motions?
Sorry, can I get my payment, you $700,000?
Yeah, come on, Jesse.
That's broken up, but I think, right, yeah. You have a motion?
I didn't hear one.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you, first, second.
All right. Thanks, everybody.